Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 101. I'm your host. I'm in the basement. I'm ready to talk wrestling. The guy across the table from me is my son and co-host. Who are you again? I forget.
I don't know.
You don't know either?
No.
It's Jack. I'm just kidding. I know who it is. I'm aware of who he is. He's here again, ready to talk about some more wrestling.
Yes.
Got a bit of a heat wave going on?
Do we?
We do.
I don't know.
So we're looking to get this done. I want to get in the pool before we leave and go to your grandfather's.
Yeah, right.
Your grandfather's house without your grandfather in it. Right?
We'll just leave it like that.
Yeah.
That's all we're going to say.
Yeah. Well, no, because he's traveled to Korea for 2 months and we're
more
sort
fun
of
in the
all
context.
sharing in the responsibility of looking after
Oh, we're not. Mostly.
your aunt and uncle.
Mostly the other two, which makes sense because they don't really do stuff.
Well, they do lots, but
Okay, Phil does stuff, but I don't know.
well, your aunt can work from home, so that's why she's moved in there
Mm-hmm.
to look after the rather large, yet fairly,
Also bringing in her own.
very large German Shepherd, but
Yes.
very nice temperament. Like he's a sweet boy, even
Little
despite
baby.
being big. And then yes, a golden retriever as well. So we're gonna head down there. And are you guys planning on watching The Batman or something? Was that for today?
Possibly.
Nice. So I think that's what we're up to later. But yeah, it's like 35 degrees again here today.
Mhm.
Celsius for our American friends. That works out to, I don't know, around 100 probably Fahrenheit. I don't know.
IDK.
Something like that. You can look it up if you care that much. But it's hot and it's great because it hasn't been hot. So you're officially done school, right?
Yes.
Did you
as of
enjoy
Tuesday.
a lazy week?
Yeah,
with
pretty much.
home by yourself, basically,
Yeah.
which was pretty good, I guess. And I don't know what else is new. I don't really have much to talk about today. I was at basketball practice with your brother again,
Yeah.
as per usual. They won their game on Tuesday by like almost 30 points. Their team is looking quite dominant so far. But anyways, and you? What's new with you?
Nothing.
Nothing. That is exciting. That's some amazing banter we got going here today.
I don't know. I don't really do things.
You don't really do things. That is-
Especially not lately.
Well, we had people over last night, and you guys
Ah,
swam for
yeah.
a whole bunch of time and ordered late night pizza. You owe Richard and Chuck a thank you because they really wanted pizza. So your mom just was like, "Let's order pizza." So
yeah, I
it was,
thought that was weird.
it was their choice. So us, our grown men, 3 grown men in their mid 40s, sitting in a hot tub eating pizza in a hot tub and drinking. They were drinking beer, and I was drinking whatever water. I don't know what, but
Okay.
anyways,
Doof.
like a doof. Yeah. And then you heard Chuck's song about me.
Yeah.
So I got out my old guitar. I don't play guitar, which is why I was giving it to a couple friends of ours who are much more musical for them to keep it at their place down the street. And what was the song about? Wishing I would drink more beer with them.
Yeah.
Something like that. He wrote an impromptu song about me not drinking enough beer. So I'm sorry to disappoint them. But anyways, I don't know. We got a bunch to talk about this week because in any other wrestling business, I'm going to talk about, I think for the first time, some GCW, right? This is what any other wrestling business was really what I wanted it to be, was just like, if you watched random stuff this week, you talk about it, right? So
Right.
I checked out GCW. What was it called? I Never Liked You, which I thought was a pretty funny pay-per-view name.
You always name them weird.
And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. Still nothing crazy. Just quickly go through most of the matches, maybe all of them for that one, and then Slammiversary.
Wasn't deathmatch or anything.
No,
right?
there wasn't. And that's why it reminds me of ECW because it's not all extreme hardcore deathmatch
I feel
stuff.
like it also
but they
varies
have
from
some.
shows to show.
It
Because I
does.
feel like some shows that is all it is.
Yeah,
like,
there's-
from what I see.
There's definitely more on some shows than others. And then I also watched Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, their 20th anniversary, right? I think it was, which I was surprised. It feels to me like they've been around longer than that. As somebody who's watched it off and on, mostly on since the beginning, I felt like it was around before that. But I assume they would know. I assume they would know when they were born.
2002. I know
Right.
it's 2002.
It's correct,
That's when
right?
they were doing the weekly pay-per-views.
I don't know why it just feels like it's been longer.
It
to me.
is accurate. I know it is, but I kind of agree with you.
I think it's because that company has been on the cusp of death like 20 times, and sort of it just will not. It's
Well-
like the cockroach of wrestling. You just cannot kill it, right?
Which it's so weird.
So that
Because
pay-per-view is
they literally went to head-to-head with Raw at one point. Like,
right.
I don't know how they haven't died. Like, they merged with Global Force Wrestling, fell out with it.
I
like,
think for a
changed
while it was
names.
Dixie Carter's Mummy and Daddy had tons and tons of money. It was sort of like a Tony Khan situation, right? Where their family has ridiculous amounts of money and we're just like, this is your little hobby, you can run it, sort of thing. But yeah, it's still
How they
surviving.
haven't died, yeah.
So that show was a bit of a mixed bag, but I'll talk about that kind of quickly when we get there. But I don't know, I think that's about good for banter. Do you want to just move into talking about stuff.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to transition first into looking at some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. So in terms of ratings this week, we always look at NXT and AEW Dynamite just because we always have. So NXT drew 637,000 viewers this week, which is up 4%, earned a .18 in the key demographic, which is up a large 47%. So this is the highest rating the program has seen in the demographic since Halloween Havoc. And for the first time in, I think, a while, they had no notable competition. So no NBA, no NHL playoffs. So that was sort of a better snapshot of their rating. So 637 up a little bit this week. AEW Dynamite averaged 878,000 viewers, which is up 15%. They had a pretty low week last week. I think, what was it? They were up against Stanley Cup Finals last week, right? So they picked back up 15%, earned a .31 in the key demographic, which was also up from .28 last year. So it did better than last week, which was the lowest viewership for a go-home show in the normal time slot since Full Gear 2020. So ratings up for both companies, partly at least due to not so much competition from major sports. What do you have for us, sir?
So there's a match that's like I think it's all but confirmed for SummerSlam, which is July 30th.
Why is that surprising? Is
That's
that
really
late?
early.
Oh, it's early. I don't know. When
They're
is
usually in
SummerSlam?
August.
Is it?
Like end of August. Like it's a month before it usually is.
Weird.
I think. Yeah.
They usually are consistent. Like they don't usually mess around. I wonder why.
Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. Does that interest you? I assume it does.
Absolutely not. Wow, that sounds amazing. But at least, I mean, it's Happy Corbin is done with Madcap Moss, because that seemed to be quite a lengthy feud as well.
Right,
But that's what they do, right? 7-8 matches of the same type. What do I have? It was what was it last week that was a crazy news week?
Yeah, I think last week was pretty good.
And then this week, not so much. So in response to a fan sort of being critical on Twitter, Rhea Ripley has revealed that she is dealing with a brain and teeth injury. I even saw a shot of like basically a bar across her front, I think like 4 teeth trying to hold things together. And so basically, obviously, Ripley will not be in the Money in the Bank match. So did you see who won a multi-woman match to take that spot?
You bet I did.
And who is it?
Carmella.
Correct.
Woo!
So Carmella earns her way into the Money in the Bank match. And it was something, the response was because a fan was basically being an idiot and saying, you sure don't look like you're injured, right? And she had to go, well, it's a brain injury, genius, kind of like that, right? Like, but anyways, yes, so we get Carmella instead. I don't think that is an upgrade by any means. Not that I'm a huge believer in Rhea Ripley either, but it's Carmella. So anyways, what else do you have?
In a time where there's a bunch of injured stars, Kyle O'Reilly's out with a mystery injury, as they call it.
Yeah, so it's coming up later in my news that it seems like AEW kind of does the same thing as WWE, and that's they're specific about injuries unless it's concussion or COVID. Then they seem to go like secretive about it. So
Right.
I'm wondering if it's a concussion. But yeah, there's tons of injuries right now. Speaking of injuries, nailed it. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Observer newsletter, both Io Shirai and Zoe Stark are set to make their returns to NXT relatively soon.
Was Io injured? I had no idea.
So Io was injured, but again, they didn't reveal what the injury was ever. But apparently there was a picture circulating of her in a protective boot. And then Zoe Stark was like a knee.
I remember her being
knee
injured,
and surgery.
There's the whole
right?
thing about it, but
right. So yeah, they are both scheduled to be back. I don't know, like they were a tag team when they left, but I guess they need something in that division, right?
You'd think.
Because who are the tag? Oh, we don't really watch it, but who are the tag team? So
Take
it's
a
still
wild
Toxic
guess,
Attraction,
yes.
But who else even exists?
I think the thing right now it's Roxanne and
Jade.
That's who
Cora
it was.
Jade.
Yes.
And then then you have like I guess Catanzaro. Sorry. Katana Chance. Is that right?
That's so stupid.
And her partner Carter, and then Feroz and.
But they're like enhanced.
Why can't I remember the other one's name ever?
Lisa Leon.
Thank you, Leon. But they're
like the Malik Blade and Anafe of the women's division, even though there's like far less teams.
That is a very apt comparison.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't mind if Io and Zoe are back as a tag team, but in my opinion, they should just steamroll right to the titles because that Toxic Attraction experiment needs to end. But anyways, what else do you have?
So you mentioned Katana Chant.
I sure did.
Speaking of renames.
Segues.
Someone got a vignette on NXT. And it is someone we both enjoy. I told you about it, but I'm just trying to find their name now, so then I can say it right, because I kind of remember, but it's not.
While you're doing that, I saw Eichner's new entrance.
Yes.
He looks kind of cool.
It's interesting.
He basically looks tanned.
And
he's
got
they freeze it in a couple spots,
yes,
right?
And his beard is like a lot more prominent.
I hope it works out for him, because he's freaking awesome.
Okay. Well, Jordan Devlin's coming to 2.0.
Right. Yes.
And now he's JD something with a D for his last name.
You don't remember what it is?
I remember what it's spelled like, but I don't know how to say it. It's
what is it spelled like?
Donagh.
Oh.
Donagh.
Donagh. Interesting.
Duna. Yeah, but it looks like he'll be keeping the Ace thing, but I still think it's stupid.
Yeah, I guess because that was his indie name, probably, right? It was not a WWE
Probably,
name.
But let's keep it for however many years and then change it.
Well, because he's coming to America now, and nobody watches anything else, so there's not a lot of NXT UK people, so they're probably like, who is this guy?
Right. Oh, we'll get to NXT UK.
Then we've got some issues, right, with New Japan, because they have a dedicated Lucha Libre partnership with CMLL, and that means that some of the Forbidden Door people from AEW who are affiliated with AAA are not sort of welcome to do that, so Forbidden Door is kind of caught in the middle, and a bunch of AAA talent have been pulled from planned matches. That includes Rey Fenix, Andrade El Idolo.
Yeah, I heard Andrade was supposed to face Will Ospreay, which would have been awesome.
Rush and Penta, unfortunately, all removed from Forbidden Door. They did apparently have plans for each of those guys.
That sucks.
And now none of them will be there due to that conflict. So we'll talk more about Forbidden Door once we get into AEW Dynamite, but it's been a bit of a mess leading up to this show.
It's not looking bad, but
no, but just like...
It is definitely like they're scrambling all over the place and putting stuff together
due to injuries, due to talent,
for better or for worse,
not being allowed to go.
Right, and maybe that's part of it, right? Maybe
it is.
That's just part of them, because it is really scrambling all over the place, and so maybe that's just part of it. Is I feel maybe if they had if all their plans worked out, Lucha Bros, Andrade, etc., maybe it would be better. But maybe that's part of it. But it is definitely they're scrambling all over the place.
The card looks good, but until they ran down the card on Dynamite,
you only remember the major ones.
I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
But anyways, what else you got?
So Tony Khan provides some updates on things, some stuff like Jeffrey and other stuff.
Right.
So he's impressed with the ticket sales for Forbidden Door, so they've already been talking about Forbidden Door 2, so that is kind of coolio.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Jeff Hardy, he compared it to Mox's recent struggles, with the rehab. And so he said, I'm really glad nobody got hurt, but what Jeff did going out and driving is different from the other thing.
Yes.
And I still don't like hearing the two compared, if that makes sense. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't give Jeff a lot of credit for now doing the right thing, which it's not like he hasn't
getting
before.
Arrested, caught,
going to rehab
because he got caught,
right,
and is facing jail time. Yeah, everybody's.
And so we said Jeff's got to do the right thing. He wants to stay with AEW because it's his last chance. Good, because
It's amazing how sorry people are when they get caught. If he didn't get caught, I don't think he'd be so sorry.
Right.
Right.
I feel like he should be gone already, because I don't think he's not even that useful, but.
Ready for this segue?
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of DUIs.
Woo! Nice.
So Tammy Sitch.
All right.
FKA Sunny. She is facing a DUI manslaughter case because she killed somebody, something we were saying Jeff Hardy's lucky he didn't in his selfish choice to drive while intoxicated, but she did. So have you heard this? Her lawyer has filed a motion. He did file, and it was successful, to be withdrawn from representing her. Basically, I don't want to represent this person. I can't stand it. She's not cooperative.
What the hell is wrong with her?
In the motion he filed, he cited an impasse, quote unquote, in the handling of the case.
What is that?
But basically, they're not getting anywhere. They can't get anywhere. That she described as leading to an inability for the two to cooperate going forward, and Sitch failing to comply with an employment agreement. So basically, a lawyer saying, I don't want the money this person's going to pay me. I don't want to represent her. I don't want anything to do with her.
What is wrong with her? Because I feel like
She's
she's
a
always
mess,
getting
man.
in stuff.
She's a mess. She's
what?
and unfortunately a danger to society at this point, right? She's already killed somebody driving now, and this is, I don't know how many DUIs she's had. Multiple. I want to say like a half dozen.
How is she not in prison?
I think she has been. And I imagine she will be going back, quite possibly here.
What is what is wrong with her?
I
I
don't
remember watching the video, but like, what?
I'm sure there's mental health issues there, and I think there's just like she was famous and now she's not, and maybe struggles.
Oh no,
with that.
she's
I
still
don't-
famous.
Well, she's infamous, I guess.
Yeah,
From famous to infamous, the
Yeah.
Tammy Sitch story.
yeah.
But
That should be
anyways.
the title of her book.
It should be. What else do you have? I only have one
I have
more.
nothing else.
And then I just have another injury update, according to Dave Meltzer, regarding Bryan Danielson. No confirmed injury for Danielson, but this is where he was saying it's believed to be a concussion suffered in the chaotic anarchy in the arena match.
Oh, he can't be doing that.
No, and this is where Meltzer says that AEW kind of follows the same example from WWE, where they're open about injuries as long as it's not a concussion or COVID. They call it the 2 C's. So unless it's one of those two, they'll admit it, but those they try to keep under wraps for whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, that's it for news.
He is not the guy you want to see.
No, anything around his head or neck, right?
in a
We don't
concussion,
want
yes.
injured because he's amazing.
Yeah.
But I guess that's going to wrap up news and rumors. We'll move
Indeed.
into our first in-depth review each week, and that's taking a look at AEW Dynamite.
So we open the show with Bryan Danielson speaking.
Speaking of his injury, we just finished up the news with,
Yes.
right?
And he comes out to speak on that and stuff. He says this week is a great week to be an AEW fan and a pro wrestling fan. He says on Sunday there's Forbidden Door between the two best pro wrestling companies in the world, which is valid because I don't think you can include WWE there.
I certainly would not.
Nope.
Nope.
He says you'll see some great pro wrestling. The next week you'll see pretty much the opposite, which is blood and guts. He says he was challenged by Zack Sabre Jr., which this is the first I'm hearing of him being
Which-
challenged with Zack Sabre Jr.
It would have been amazing. I've told you, like, I'm
Yeah.
becoming a Saber fan, right? I didn't really like him early on, but now I do. And
No,
that
I
would
remember
have
you
been-
did not like him in the CWC.
That match would have been amazing. But
Yeah, and it's just weird. Like, this is the first I'm
Yeah.
hearing of this challenge.
Yes.
Like, what? I didn't even see it on social media. And Sabre said he would prove he's a better technical wrestler than Danielson. And Danielson says he was excited to prove it was wrong, be some good news and some bad news. He says he's not clear to compete at Forbidden Door or a Blood and Guts. I'd be surprised if he was clear to compete at Blood and Guts, because Blood and Guts. It's right there in the name. He says Kingston said he was a judgmental prick, and he says that is right. He has high standards, so when he promises something will be amazing, it will be. He says the good news is he's found the one person he trusts to take his place at Forbidden Door and Blood and Guts. He'll take it to Zack Sabre Jr. and kick Jericho's head in, and we will all be astounded. He says he won't reveal it now, and he won't tell Zack Sabre Jr. either. He says to tune in on Sunday. Then Sabre comes out, he shouts stuff I didn't catch because it wasn't really like mic'd or anything,
No.
and that ends it.
Yeah, are you assuming it's Cesaro?
So I saw someone call it Cesaro, but then I also saw Gargano's in town.
Ooh,
So I mean that could be a
I
coincidence, but like
didn't think
also
of that.
if you want to go like who's going technical with Sabre, who's more likely Gargano or
Gargano.
Cesaro? Like I mean
I guess
Gargano's-
both, possibly.
Yeah, but also I don't know if
Oh my
either of them
God,
fit
that
in
would be
Blood and
amazing.
Guts. Keep in mind they also go into Blood and Guts. So
Right. I forgot about Gargano. That's great.
yeah.
So obviously it sucks that Danielson's out, but at least they use this to build some anticipation with the mystery opponent. And if AEW is doing this, they generally deliver. Like, it's not going to be somebody we've seen before, probably. I don't think they needed this segment to open the show. That's my only criticism. As you guys know, if you're a regular listener, I'd like a match, and a hot match if possible, to start out. So I don't know if this needed to be placed here, but I do like Sabre a lot more than I used to. I would have loved to see Danielson, but now that you've given me the idea, it could be Gargano. That's what I'm going to focus on, and I really want that. You're setting me up for disappointment now, because I hadn't thought of that on my own. But
I don't know what just bet. I'd probably prefer Gargano. I don't know. Just a Gargano, I feel like it's more interesting. Like, I don't know. I love Cesaro too, but he's just I don't know. It
I'd
just
rather
doesn't
Gargano.
doesn't sound. I don't know. He's just kind of been around for a while and just hasn't done anything. So it's almost
Yeah.
like there is that stink on him a bit.
There
Like,
is.
not not saying it wouldn't be bad. Like, it sounds like I'm being mean to Cesaro, but I don't know. It's just like Gargano is more interesting.
Yeah, we've been told that Cesaro doesn't matter for years and years and years and years now, right? Where at
I
least
feel like it's easier to, like, when they're telling you he doesn't matter, so then it's easier to just go like, no, he does matter. Like, I feel like it's more
they've shown us
right.
for many years.
And and it's similar to like when Daniel Bryan was like being kind of in a similar spot, and then it's like it's easier to like be like defend him a lot when he's like being put down. Now Cesaro could show, and I'm just like, then you just kind of remember all the times when they're
Yes.
telling you the opposite. And you're just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's weird that they start the show by him coming out and going, "Sorry, I'm not going to wrestle the match that you had no idea I was going to wrestle." Right? Because I didn't.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
when people like he was gonna miss Forbidden Door, I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
is he?
Because you had a
Was
match?
he-
I don't know.
Yeah, like,
But anyway.
did Saber challenge? I assume Saber challenged him on New Japan show them, but then still, why am I only just hearing about it? Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not gonna wrestle Zack Saber Jr. I'm like, you were gonna wrestle Zack Saber Jr. Like,
And I forget things, so I was always like, okay, maybe I was supposed to know that. But if you're telling me you didn't know that,
I had no
then
idea.
that's a pretty good sign we didn't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, what
Yeah.
do you think?
I thought it was solid. I'm surprised that this opened the show, kind of like you just said. Wonder what actually took him out, but like you said, I guess that kind of fills in the gap for me. In kayfabe, they did say it was Jericho and Hager, but I assume it was something from that match, just not that. But,
Right.
It could be any number of things if it's
That
a
was
concussion,
an
right?
insane match, so there was
Yes.
lots of opportunity for a head injury
Exactly,
for
for
sure.
sure. I'm hoping it's not like another long thing. I don't think it will be. I don't mind them keeping the surprise until the Sunday. It builds more interest for the pay-per-view, which is good. I think they should do that, and I hope they're not overhyping it. Also, I saw an interesting thing that like someone said like because even Tony Khan said it's kind of like a secondary pay-per-view, so think kind of in your house, which that's not necessarily like a bag on it, but
No.
like I was saying like they should they were saying like they should use it to hype the crap out of Blood and Guts because like in your house is always like you're hyping the next bigger show, right? So they were
makes
saying
sense.
they should do that. So I hope they're not overhyping the surprise, and now maybe we'll expect Gargano, and then we don't get Gargano.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like if there's anyone like who fits the billing to face Saber Jr. because I feel like anyone, if you really tried, you can stick in Blood and Guts, even though it would
Yeah.
be weird to see Gargano or I don't know if I've ever seen Gargano really bleed.
I don't either. Can't remember.
And I don't know. But and so I saw someone predict Cesaro, which I think would totally work, but I'm also kind of liking the Gargano idea.
Me too.
I don't remember seeing Saber since the CWC, which was 2016, if
Mhm.
anyone
He's a lot
remembers. So we'll see how I like him at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I hope you
Yeah.
do. Because it's grown on me for sure.
Next we got a quick John Moxley promo, kind of goes hand in hand, I guess. Moxley talks about how Ortiz, Santana, Kingston, Yuta are all survivors. Mox said he hated Chris Jericho because he's driven by money and ego. Also, so if it's him, Proud and Powerful, Kingston, Yuta, that's already 5. And if
Yes.
Danielson has a replacement, I think it is the 6-on-6 that I predicted. So I think
saw a thing
you
that
throw
it
in
is.
Guevara in there. So I think that makes sense. Moxley said that we'll find out how much they can endure inside the bloody steel cage. Moxley talked about how Forbidden Door facing Hiroshi Tanahashi, saying this means more to him than anything you can imagine. Moxley said that it's been 3 years of becoming a better man. Moxley said tonight it's business when they team up, but Sunday it is personal. And he said once that bell rings, he has no respect for anyone.
Yeah, I think Mox did a good job here, and I don't think it's his fault, but like he had to shift gears through a lot of topics here because the placement of Forbidden Doors, its end, Blood and Guts being so close together, right? There's so much going on at once because it's two pretty major shows at the same time, almost basically. It's starting to feel like maybe there's not enough attention being paid to either one of them, and Moxley's having to deal with a whole bunch of stuff being thrown at him at once. So I thought he did a good job here, but it's almost overwhelming for me because I'm trying to keep straight like who's dealing with who and when and in which pay-per-view or special show or whatever you want to call it, right? So I feel like the placement of Forbidden Door and or Blood and Guts could have been better because it's all just sort of running together for me and I'm having trouble keeping it all apart. But anyways, Mox delivers things great. It's just he had a lot to get through here, I felt like.
Yeah. I like this a solid little promo after Danielson. Hype Blood and Guts a bit, so and he kind of talked about the whole team too, which I think was good. And focusing on Forbidden Door a bit too, he did have a lot to talk about here. Like what he said about Jericho and Jazz, and it makes sense because at least when you think about it, he is kind of the polar opposite of them.
Yes.
So I think that kind of works. Next we get our opening match, and probably where in-ring action peaks, in my opinion.
I was just gonna say my match of the night.
trios action as Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice take on United Empires, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, or as I wrote, Will Ospreay and United Empire, because that makes sense. I meant to write Aussie Open, which is Kyle Fletcher and I think it's Mark Davis.
If you say so.
Friends
of ours, right?
Yeah, totally.
Close personal friends of ours because we met them once for 90 seconds.
Yep. So notables, Cassie and Roppongi Vice look for stereo dives. They all get caught, and then Rocky and Cassie get rammed into each other with Trent Beretta in the middle. So I thought that was kind of cool, and they all get slammed on the apron. Cassie got a hot tag, hit Aussie Open with the Kicks of Doom, as they're called. Then a double Hurricanrana, then a single Hurricanrana to Davis, and a tilt-a-whirl DDT to Fletcher. Ospreay backflips off of Cassie's chest, hits an enziguri, then goes for a follow-up. Cassie hits the Stun Dog Millionaire. There's some really nice tag offense on Romero from Aussie Open, and then there's some really cool spinebuster move for a 2 count. Then there's one of those sequences where everyone hits something on someone else. Davis pulls like Trent up from the ground, like just pulls him up from his feet into a pile driver position, then hits him with a pile driver for 2. So that was really cool. And the finish comes when Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch to Fletcher to score the pinfall. And then just after the match, Great Khan and Jeff Cobb, the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, IWGP is fun to say, and United Empire have a numbers advantage until FTR show up and United Empire back off. I don't know if it was confirmed last week, so it might have been confirmed before the show, so we might have not talked about it yet. But one of the matches for Forbidden Door is going to be Khan and Jeff Cobb of United Empire versus FTR versus Roppongi Vice, and the way it's working, it's like a 3-way tag. Another 3-way tag.
That should be fun.
And it's going to be a winner take all for the IWGP and Ring of Honor tag titles, so that's kind of
cool. Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Winner take all.
Nice. Few things. I'm sort of waning on my interest in Orange Cassidy, but I can't deny that the crowd still really reacted to him, right? Like, he got a great pop, and so did FTR when they came out at the end to even numbers. I thought this was a really good trios match. Like I said, my favorite match on this show. The crowd really got into it. There was a little bit of the Orange Cassidy comedy stuff in the beginning, but once that got out of the way, I thought this match really picked up. And at Aussie Open, I thought looked awesome in this with, like you pointed out, there was that one really good double teaming sequence to Romero. And then Cassidy getting the pinfall here. It makes sense, right? Because I don't think there's any world where he's beating Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door and taking the title from him. Like, I don't think that's happening. So
I don't think there's any chance.
It makes sense to book Orange Cassidy strongly here, but I really enjoyed this match. Especially impressed with Aussie Open here. I just wish that this had been the opener, like they flipped this in the opening segment, right? Like, start out with this match, then have Danielson talk after this, because this match I thought was really good. I was quite satisfied, and like I said, Aussie Open, this is a nice introduction. They're even a lot better than we saw them at a little indie show.
I don't even remember what they did at the indie show.
And they're bigger than I remember too. I mean, maybe they put on weight.
I remember Davis being the big one, but I remember in this match, I was like, Fletcher is taller than I remember.
Yeah, I thought they looked great, and I really enjoyed this match.
I thought it was a great match too. I thought it was really fun, a good opener. Even better if it had actually like opened like straight up. Aside from Fletcher taking the fall to Cassie, I think Aussie Open in particular coming out of this looking really great.
I think so too.
I thought they had a great tag offense sequence on Romero. They look good in some other parts too. I think they're cool and well, so we saw them. So we're like the hipsters. Like, we knew them before they were in AEW. We liked them before they were in AEW. Yeah, so I'll like them for that too. But I thought they looked great here. I thought Ospreay looked good as well. So good showing for that trio in general. I'm enjoying them actually. Also, like with Ospreay's match last week, I would really like for them to stay around a little while after Findor, especially Aussie Open, because I think there's the tag division allows a lot of matches, even if it's just like a couple exhibitions. I would love to see more, and I've been enjoying their matches thus far. Like,
me too.
If you could work,
they're cool.
You can't really, because they're New Japan. So I was gonna say you put them against Death Triangle.
Nope,
that doesn't really work.
Triple A say no thanks. But anyways,
you could work them versus Super Click. I don't know.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Red Dragon.
Undisputed Era. You could do that. I don't know, something like that. Anyways, I would like them to stick around because that was good. But this was great. I guess Cassie makes sense because winning makes sense because he's not gonna win.
I don't think so.
I can't imagine Orange Cassidy's gonna be IWGP U.S. champion.
I'm not super interested in that match. It might end up being really good.
Also, what Ospreay is Aussie, right?
Or
is he New Zealand?
No, I think he's British.
Oh, British, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a British guy is holding a United States title in a Japanese company.
Exactly.
To recap.
Exactly.
For those who don't know. Next we get a promo from Jay Lethal and Co., aka bald Indian guy and really tall Indian guy with Jay Lethal.
Right.
Sanjay Dutt says Singh's in-ring debut went amazing. Sure.
Didn't see
it's
it.
time for a celebration. Lethal says he'll celebrate becoming new Ring of Honor TV champion, but he can't until Joe comes back to work. He said either Joe can heal up that shoulder and come back and defend against him, or vacate to the rightful holder, as he was the longest reigning champ, so he should just get the belt back for some reason. And Joe's time is ticking. I thought it was okay as a short promo, but nothing much. I smell a Rampage match if I've ever smelled one before. And these guys aren't bad. I really don't care.
Yeah, I think the problem for me is like, so this story is obviously still going on. It just feels like an example of something that like has been kind of put on the back burner since the push towards Forbidden Door, right? So, and I think Lethal and Dutt do a good job in this role. It's just, I think this story's just been spinning its wheels, right? And it needs to sort of gain traction and get moving somewhere. I think ROH really needs to get on TV at some point somewhere so that they can get started on getting some of these storylines on a separate show, right? Because this show is packed with, you basically have 3 companies operating on one show right now, and I don't think there's enough time, right? So in this 2-hour show, they're dealing with New Japan, Ring of Honor, and AEW, and I think it's just a lot happening right now.
And yes, like Ring of Honor is basically still AEW, but it's also like there are some splinters of Ring of Honor, like the storyline in particular. Like I feel like there's some Ring of Honor where it's like FTR, it's just the same thing.
Yes.
But, and I think it's odd. And I also saw, Tully's faction got a thing on Rampage.
Oh, did they?
Yes, and then I saw.
I forgot he was doing something new.
I know, me too.
Because they've just had to back burner a lot of stuff as they're getting ready for Forbidden Door and Blood and
I don't know when it's happening, but at some point they set up Gresham and Lee Moriarty versus Tully's group.
So who is that again?
Cage and 2 other guys.
Right. Oh yeah, I forgot about Cage. Yeah, interesting. I guess I don't know. So yeah, I like Dutt and Lethal. I like them on the mic, but like I feel like this is the same thing over and over with nothing happening.
Yeah, like they're delivering it good. They're doing fine, and I'm just like I don't care, and like, I don't.
Let's get a match going.
Right, and I feel like your time would be better spent on this. Like you're telling me, think this is here, and then the only women's match we got was the one we got.
Right.
We'll get there.
We did get there.
Next, Christian Cage speaks in a turtleneck.
What's good heel? It's a good heel
no,
outfit.
No, it was. I was like,
it was a pretty bad outfit.
I thought that was funny because like that was like that's Young Bucks kind of stuff right there, where you just like that's just gross, but I respect it. Christian was asked to explain what happened. He got booed. Christian said that the people in Milwaukee aren't very intelligent, and they booed more, and he told them to shut up. He mentioned you didn't expect them to let Jungle Boy eliminate him from the Casino Battle Royal last year. And he claimed that pissed him off because of the way fans reacted to him. So he's holding on to an elimination reaction from over a year ago.
Right.
Christian said he thought maybe he should do a background check on Jungle Boy as he's getting shut the F up chants. Christian claimed he went on social media being cesspool of losers. Christian told the fans they know nothing about the business, and he said he's one of the best to ever step foot in the ring, and he has it figured out. He said it would be like him telling you to take an order. I guess that's like how you have a bad job joke.
Right, you're just a fast food employee. I think
Christian spoke about how he did minimal work by sitting at ringside and cash that paycheck. He says he wasn't there to help younger talent; he was there to cash his paycheck. More on that later.
Yeah.
Christian talked about how he once had a match. They named pay-per-views after, which I assume was like a pole match or something, right?
Yes.
Probably.
Yep.
He's famous for his contract on a pole matches or something.
Well, didn't they imply that they made tables matches famous? That was the Hardys saying that, right? So that would include Christian too, I think. Because remember, they couldn't say TLC, right, so they went ladder matches famous.
Because they were the ones who made tables famous, right? Totally them. There's no one else, right?
Nope.
No Bubba's or anything.
Nope.
Christian said that the one time he doesn't give pre-match advice or walk out with Jungle Boy to lose the tag team titles. That's dumb, but heel logic.
Yeah,
sure.
That's a point, I guess.
Christian said now he's going to have to take control. He has to get his hands dirty, and that pisses him off. They finally and then they showed a clip of when Christian told Jungle Boy's mom after the attack that they raised a piece of crap. That's pretty funny.
And this is where this promo kicks into gear for me.
Yes. He said he thinks that Jungle Boy's mom was a little sweet on Christian Cage and thinks she wanted Christian to be Jungle Boy's father. He said he never wanted to be his father because he had a father since his father is dead, being Luke Perry.
Right.
Which is funny. And it's a good thing he is dead because he didn't get to see Jungle Boy beaten up like that. That was pretty funny. And he told Jungle Boy to enjoy his early retirement at 25 years old and stay gone. And Luchasaurus came out and he was choking Christian in the corner. Christian mentioned Marco for some reason. I
missed that.
I forget what it was.
Me too.
Christian tried to get him to stop by saying Luchasaurus is like a Sundome, which I thought was far-fetched, but heel logic, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Christian said that they need to talk in private, not in front of the people, and he talked in Luchasaurus' ear, hugged him, and then Luchasaurus was kind of conflicted as he left. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. What did you think?
I was like really annoyed by the first half of this because I was like, really, it goes back that far to an elimination, and you've been with this group for how long?
Probably since like after All Out.
And then slow burn teasing this heel turn, and it just felt like WWE, that like a lack of creativity.
Yeah,
right?
and it's like most of last year too. It sounded like he didn't even really start going with them full time until like, remember they teamed in the Falls Count Anywhere match,
Right.
which was November last year.
Yeah.
So you're telling me like he was planning this between the spring and fall of like throughout the whole summer. Remember he was like facing Omega and like it was like after that he like is, I don't know, there's a bit of a disconnect.
I felt like for sure the origin of this issue could have been a lot more creative, and like, yeah, if you were so mad about it, why did you wait so long? And then he attempts to answer that by saying because it was for the money. So like you made more money by just not wrestling, and or I guess maybe what he's saying, to give him a bit of credit, is he's saying that he got paid the same amount and had to do nothing? Like, is that what he's saying? Like,
or is
I
it
stuck with you
because
guys.
he made like a decent amount of money while doing nothing? But like,
Right.
which is better?
So basically, I guess he's saying I didn't have to wrestle or do anything, and I still got paid. Fine. I felt it was like that first half annoyed me. I just felt like it was lazy and that they should have come up with something better in the time that they had to. But then when he started verbally attacking Jungle Boy's family and the stuff about his dead dad, I was super entertained, and I thought it was really good heel work. Even the look on Christian's face when he was hugging Luchasaurus at the end of this, I thought was pretty good as well. So I was like torn on this. I thought the first part was kind of lazy, and just like I didn't think it made sense. But then when he started laying into his family, I thought it was great. So I don't really know how to feel about the whole thing, but I liked the end, Christian being just a disgusting heel at the end of this. So I thought it was good. You?
Yeah, I was pretty much in the same boat. I wasn't loving it at first. I thought it was lame. Christian was waiting over a year to get payback on a Battle Royal elimination.
Right.
And most of the time that just goes by. Like, sure, there's a reaction, but like, I don't know. It's just weird. But of course, I should wait for the explanation first, right? But then it was so you could profit off of accompanying them by managing them, which it sounds fine if you don't think about it for more than 5 seconds. And if he just worked on winning more and like wrestling more, he would undoubtedly make more off of that. And I guess if he's all about money, I guess it's like then he doesn't do work while getting money. Like,
and
is that
what's
the
his
thing?
whole? Just
Outwork everyone.
Right. That's his whole thing, is outwork everyone.
Or was that just BS? Like,
I guess that's babyface Christian, and heel Christian is like avoid all work, sort of thing, and get paid the same. I guess.
Or is avoiding work while getting paid, is that outworking people?
Maybe.
Because he's outworking them
working
out of
the fans.
working. He's making other people work while not working and still making money, so he's outworking them by not working.
Sure.
So maybe it's because he's not outworking them in the ring, that's for sure.
Next level.
It felt like a drag, but when he started banging on Jungle Boy and his family, I thought that was really funny. I'm not sure what angle they'll work with Luchasaurus, but that's somewhat interesting. All in all, it was fine. But if it's an unmasking angle, I will murder Christian, because you can't do that.
An unmasking angle?
Yeah, if like he turns heel and
On
unmasks
Lucha?
and undinosaurs.
Right.
If he undinosaurs, Christian will not like what happens, because that you can't do that.
That's a threat.
I will outwork him. That's my threat. If he undinosaurs Luchasaurus, I will outwork him.
Undinosaurs. Nice.
Yeah.
You've coined that phrase.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Is it undinosaur or D-dinosaur?
I would say,
Undinosaur? I mean,
I'd
your
go
word.
undinosaur.
All right.
And
Fair enough.
if we ever get merch, that'll be like sure, it'll be like someone unmasking the source, and then it'll have like a commentary quote and be like, and it'll be like, like the quote, it's like, by God, he's been broken in half. It's like, by God, he's been undinosaur'd.
He's been undinosaur.
Next, we get a promo from Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly, who's not injured. right?
Nope, I guess not.
Nick says the titles are back on the best and the division is number 1 again. Matt says they did. They're the first 2-time tag champs. He says they'll be at the pay-per-view, something about the Bucks being back in Bullet Club one night only, which turns out to be them teaming with Hikuleo. Woo!
Yeah, Hikuleo. Big fans here.
We must miss your wild cheering there.
You did. I'll put it in post-production.
Okay.
I'll put in a bunch of
And
clapping.
also El Phantasmo of Bullet Club.
He's cool.
Versus Sting. Woo!
Less cool. Mm-hmm.
We missed it again. And Darby Allin with Hiromu Takahashi and Shingo Takagi.
Takahashi is cool.
I like saying Takagi.
Takagi's cool too, so that's
Takagi.
fine. Yeah, I thought these guys did a fine job, but I'm not sure what really we gained from it. Like, they're in Bullet Club suddenly for one night only. Like, this is what I mean. Like, there's just all this stuff happening at the last minute for this show, right? It's so many moving parts and things. One thing I did notice, and I think this is 2 weeks in a row, that I thought Kyle O'Reilly sounded pretty good in a promo. Because that's not.
Yes, but what I thought
for
was
him.
kind of weird here is I thought it was weird he's like agreeing with them because they're like going on their usual stick about how they're the best and the titles are on the best, and he's like just agreeing with it. But like only like a couple months back, he's like, remember they had
Yes.
the whole thing. So I thought that was a bit of disconnect, but it's kind of a nitpick like for this because it's just like a get to Forbidden Door kind of thing. But still, I thought that was kind
And
of
then maybe go back to that, right?
Yeah,
it's kind
maybe.
of like they pushed pause to do stuff for this show, and then they'll unpause stuff.
Yeah, I just thought that was
which
kind
is
of weird.
Yeah.
I was kind of confused what they're doing for Forbidden Door. Now I get it. All what I wrote was something Sting, something Bullet Club, blah blah.
That's it.
I don't know, but at least they'll be there, which is good because I think the Bucks should be on the card, even if they didn't have the titles. I think.
Yeah.
Kind of Bucks have to be there, so I'm glad that they're there, even though this is just kind of
meh.
And if Sting wrestles Hikuleo for any stretched period of time, I will cut my eye out. I will extract out. I will extract my own eye.
Extract your own eye.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Eye for an eye.
I'll keep a spoon there just in case.
Spoon. Yes.
Pop that sucker out.
Or like
right or left? What are you gonna take out?
Which one did Rey Mysterio do? Because I'll do the opposite.
I can't remember.
I think he did his left eye, so I'm gonna do my. I'll Matt Sydal. I'll do my third eye. I'm gonna cut out my third eye. Yeah.
Matt Sydal.
Yes, I remember that gimmick from Impact.
Yep.
Yeah. Next we get the final All Atlantic title qualifier, which is Malachi Black and Penta Oscuro not using his cool half-white mask, because why use that for a match? Just use it for your not match.
And he needs to lose the tombstone and the shovel as the entrance. I feel it looks like really cheesy and cartoonish.
It was cool the first time.
I don't like it.
It was cool when he did it for the Double or Nothing graphic.
I guess. I don't know. I've never liked it. It just looks cheesy to me.
Yeah. Speaking of entrances, Malachi Black uses solo theme. Woo!
Yeah, it's cool.
Woo!
Good tune.
It's my favorite. It's better than the House of Black theme. It's so perfect. I love it. It's awesome.
Okay.
I don't mind listening to like the end part of it where it's like, because it's the actual song is 10 minutes long. I think his theme is taken from around like the 7-minute mark.
Yeah.
So like from that point, I don't mind listening to it, or like, but it's one of those ones where like I probably won't listen to it a lot, but it just sounds awesome when he's coming out to it.
Yeah.
It
does sound good. It
awesome.
suits him perfectly.
It's awesome. It might even be better than his NXT one.
Maybe.
Which
keep going. It's a lot of theme talk, man.
You like that one.
I did like that one, but I don't care that much about themes to talk about it for several minutes.
Yeah. I think
Details.
Also in Penta's entrance, I think the beginning of his theme's kind of like, it's always like the Alex Abrahantes, it's like Penta says it's time to rise or something like. It's just like, can we take that out or like replace it with something? Cause I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like corny is the right word, but it's just kind of weird, and that's weird to me.
And moving on from talking about people's themes, what did they actually do once they got there?
Play them.
No. Denied.
Oh.
Request denied.
So notables. It was pretty fast paced right off the bat. Actually,
it was.
Some strikes being traded. They're continuing back and forth on the outside. Eventually, Penta gets the upper hand to hit a tope con hilo. At one point, there was a roll through cutter by Penta for 2, which I thought was weird because that's kind of Phoenix's thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was bizarre.
Homage to his brother.
Sure. Who was on Rampage, which we need to watch.
Yes, we do.
There's a moonsault to the outside by Black. Later on, a diving foot stomp for 2 by Black in the ring. There's an avalanche package pile driver by Penta for a near fall, which that was cool because like,
you refuse to call it Fear Factor, eh?
I don't think it's Fear Factor.
Even though they call it that week after week after week.
I'm pretty sure Impact Wrestling. called like plus package pile
I
driver
know,
sounds
but
cool.
they've changed it, I think. So
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
they did not apply for that name change with you. You're the committee.
Yeah, and then I was like, because package pile
Request
driver is
denied.
alliteration, so it sounds better. And then I was like,
so it's Fear Factor. You worked that out on your own, buddy.
Yeah. Like 5 seconds after I said that, I was like, oh, whoops. And like, plus, Made in Japan's a stupid name. That doesn't make sense.
It's probably because he learned it there, or it was perfected by somebody in Japan.
But he's in Mexico.
But it was made in Japan.
But
how are you missing that?
He was made in Mexico.
But the move wasn't.
But everything's made in Japan.
Well, you could, maybe not. But that move,
anyway. China.
This is taking too long. Carry on.
The finish comes from Black, caught a kick from Penta, and then kind of swings around and hits the Black Mass to the back of the head, which they just still call it the spinning heel kick, and I think that's stupid. Give it a name. Or call it Black Mass. I don't know.
So wait. Fear Factor, we're not allowed to give a name, and we have to call it a package pile driver. But the spinning heel kick, we have to give a name. You are inconsistent. Immediately, one after the other.
You can't tell me spinning heel kick sounds cool. Package pile driver sounds cool.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what sounds cool. But anyways,
it all makes sense. Miro cuts a quick
right.
promo on the Tron. I didn't catch much, but I thought it was pretty good.
A really good back and forth TV match. I thought I would have been totally fine with this getting a few more minutes. They could have pulled minutes from something else and added to this, as far as I'm concerned. I loved Miro's promo after the match. I think he's just nailed that very unique character, right? And I think it's awesome that now he is doing things to spite his god and whatever else. So I really liked the match and really liked Miro's promo after the match as well. You?
Yeah, so I thought this was pretty good. I think they started out really fast, which I thought was cool. And then the pace kind of slows down, but it's not like in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought generally it was a good match, like I expected. Finish came a little sudden, but it was good. I liked it quite a bit. Some of the spots were cool. I'm pretty happy Black uses theme again. It sounds really cool. And I guess like I didn't even think about it at the time, but like we kind of knew how it was gonna end because the whole AAA thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. Now that we know there was no way that Penta was winning and getting on that show.
Right now it makes sense.
Right.
It all makes sense now.
It does.
And I thought the Miro promo was solid. I didn't remember much, but I thought it was good.
He's awesome.
We got a quick Wardlow promo package. Wardlow said he wants the TNT title. Wardlow said when Scorpio Sky is healed and ready, he'll welcome him into Wardlow's world. And it was solid. It was pretty short, but it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was quick and effective. I still don't really think they provided significant reason for this like unstoppable monster who's been booked stronger than anybody to just be like, no, I'm good with the secondary title. The main title's, what was his thing? Because it was CM Punk and he's waiting.
He doesn't want the interim title.
Right. But you'd take... So anyways, I don't think they did a great job of explaining that. But again, they booked him to the point where he has to win and keep winning. Based on the way
would you rather be
presented.
Real mid-card champion or fake world champion?
I guess he's going real mid-card champ. So I assume he's just going to storm to this title as he should. And that's fine. Yeah, so I thought it was a good little package too.
Mm-hmm. Next we get Hangman Page versus Silas Young for reasons I don't know.
And it's funny because I told you that Silas Young is like, despite looking like a middle-aged man with a dad body,
like
he's
Dax Harwood's dad.
Deceptively athletic, right? And that caught the crowd by surprise too a couple of times. Yeah.
We're told this is a renewed rivalry. I assume from Ring of Honor because I don't know if Silas Young's ever been in.
He's been in Ring of Honor forever.
Yeah.
The last real man's man or something like is his gimmick.
Last real man.
Yeah.
And so he's Silas not so young.
Right.
Boom,
no, he's
roasted.
definitely not.
Just like Eric Young. That's why Young has to be the worst last name of all time, because some point down the road, it just is not
Did
true.
you know that it is my mother's maiden name? Your grandmother, in fact. She's a Young.
Well, that's why you get married.
I guess.
Because then, now you're not young.
Right.
Early on, there's lots of back and forth holds, some pins. Hangman then boots him in the face. There's a cool rebound layer down the outside by Hangman. Hangman caught Young when he goes for a kick, and he kind of backflips out of it. And then Hangman hit a fall-away slam. That's where you can kind of hear the crowd reaction.
Mm-hmm.
German suplex and discus layer by Hangman, and he finishes with the buckshot, of course.
Of course.
Cole is at the top of the ramp to cut a promo, but he's cut off by Switchblade's music. Jay White apologizes for interrupting, owes him an explanation. He's been giving it a lot of thought, and as the catalyst of pro wrestling, he has made Forbidden Door as big as it's been. And he says as much as he wants it to be about them and do a favor for a friend, his opponent can't be Cole. And he says Cole lost to Hangman twice, which is valid.
Fair.
White walks the ring, says to Hangman he knows they're all dying to know who he will face for his IWGP World Heavyweight title, says it won't be Hangman either. And then Hangman slaps the mic away. They kind of brawl. Hangman gets low blow by Cole when he's going for a buckshot. So that kind of swings in favor of White. Cole grabs the title. He's kind of like holding it, priming for a shot when White is kind of beating down Hangman.
Yeah,
so
hitting
White, yes.
Yeah.
But White kind of sees that, and then Cole just plays it off as he's going to hit Hangman.
Right.
And so they kind of set that up. Then Okada makes his entrance and fights both of them until Hangman joins the fray.
Clothes.
Yeah, and
Dumb.
Okada and Hangman stand tall.
Yeah. So the match. This is when I listen back to the show. This is one of the phrases I find I use. Like, this match was all it needed to be, right? Which is my way of saying, like, it wasn't an amazing match, but I didn't expect it to be. It was. The idea was Silas Young gets a decent showing, right, and introduces himself to maybe some fans that didn't know him, and Hangman picks up a quality-ish win at least. And I think this is one of the cases where it's more about the aftermath than the match itself, right? So, and I think Jay White is just so good in the role he's playing right now, just comfortable and confident. I really like the tease of Cole, like, who's he going to hit with the title? And, it looks like White, but White notices, so now he's playing it off like he wasn't going to. I thought that was a nice spot. I did not like Okada coming out in regular clothes. That was very jarring.
What does he usually wear for a promo?
He's normally, I don't know, he's just got the huge entrance. It's like similar to Cody Rhodes, right? To me. So to have him just...
Would Okada wear a suit then?
Probably. He was just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt or something, right? Which was for me very strange to see. But he just looked like some guy running down, not a star from another company. But anyways, this tag match will be good. So I guess it's not a tag match now. At this point, this is where we were thinking this was going to be a tag match.
We thought it would be a tag match, but it was then confirmed to be a 4-way for the titles,
which I much prefer. Yeah, me too.
I thought it was a solid match, nothing great, but it was solid. It did what it needed to do. Solid enhancement for Hangman. Young didn't get a ton in, but he looked good with what he got. A couple of surprising athletic feats make him look cool. The aftermath, I liked White a lot. He was pretty good. It was still odd if, like, in kayfabe he's not going to defend against Cole or Page. He's cutting it way too close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like odd if you think about it.
And there's a lot of post-match stuff on Dynamite, and even this episode, but this post-match stuff seemed kind of meaningful, right? Because a lot of times I'm just like, oh boy, people running down and fighting, what a surprise.
Anyway,
this mattered.
The whole brawl thing I thought was fine. The dissension between Cole and White was good. Okada coming out was fine. I didn't care much, and it was kind of weird using normal clothes. And so yeah, I was worried because I thought it'd be a tag match, and I was like, gross.
But yeah,
the title is on the line in a 4-way, so I like that much better. Next we got a quick Cargill promo with her peeps.
One baddie.
Yes. Cargill says even though Velva is injured, the show must go on. Hathaway says they'll have a baddie search, and there's some qualifications you need, or like some things you need to do. Like you need to, there's like a hashtag, and then you have to like send a picture, and said like keep it appropriate, and then like I think it's like 140 characters or less say why you should be baddie. So
keep it PG.
Yeah, I don't know how legit it is, but we'll see. I don't know if you remember. It reminds me of the search for Spears. Remember when he was tag partner searching?
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. It was fine. I thought Hathaway was good.
Yeah, I love Jade and Hathaway in promos, and I thought Hogan, she got to say a little bit. I thought she was pretty good too. I just hope that this baddie search leads to some interesting segments or something, and it's not just like an internet thing that I know nothing about. Like, I hope they incorporate it into the show and that somehow it works for me. But yeah, Stokely Hathaway's amazing, and Jade outside of the ring, I think is fantastic. Yeah.
Next we got Statlander and Athena.
Oof, contrast.
Kind of in response, they mock the baddies doing dumb stuff,
and I cringed.
And they will take any of them in their way. They say Cargo can bring anyone she wants. They have Willow Nightingale.
Yep.
So cool, I guess. This was weird. It's weird how like Statlander's just slipped into like a completely normal person now, which sure that's better than an alien, but I don't understand what her gimmick is now because she just seems like a run-of-the-mill person.
Yes.
And Athena has never been great at promos, so this is a prime example. I thought this was not good. It was weird.
I thought it was really awkward
cringy.
too. When they were trying to behave like the baddies at the beginning, I thought it was really cringe, and then it wasn't a lot better when they got serious. Athena's delivery is just really bad, and I want to like her a lot. I like her in ring. but anytime she speaks, it doesn't sound natural to me, no matter what character she's in or what she's delivering. Statlander, I didn't think was much better. So my hope would be Athena turned on Statlander and could become a baddie, so that Hathaway and Jade can talk for her, and she doesn't have to speak for herself. And her as a heel, I think, would be cool too, because we haven't really seen that, right? So much. So
No.
I'd be interested. But anyways, I did not think they did a good job here.
Speaking of things getting better, just kidding. Tony Storm versus Play with Nyla Rose's next, aka Marina Shafir, with boring theme music.
I think I'm just out on Shafir.
I think so.
I don't know, but anyways, go ahead.
One of the notables was Nyla Rose seeing a senton to the outside.
That looked better
on the outside to Storm while the ref
things.
was distracted. Yes, and one of my notables from the match is someone not in the match doing a move. So
exactly, it looked good.
That's the state of things here. Shafir had Storm's arms trapped, kind of like a double chicken wing kind of deal, and she delivers headbutt to the back, and then Storm counters. It's a bigger headbutt of her own. There's a tornado DDT to the outside by Storm. There's a hip attack in the corner by Storm. And Storm wins by countering a pump handle move by Shafir, a roll up for the win. And then after the match, she gets beat up by the heels. Thunder Rosa makes a save. Storm hits Nyla Rose with the women's title, and then holds it, and she's staring at it, and then hands it back to Rosa. Blah blah.
Yeah, they are trying really hard to establish Marina Shafir as like a shooter, right? Because she is an actual fighter, but it's not working for me.
No.
And I think part of it is like she doesn't win ever, right? On TV. I'm not talking about dark or
stuff doesn't look like overly impactful.
So yeah, like judo throws and submissions are not enough for me, especially when she never wins, right? So I don't get this idea of like she's so tough and terrifying. And even Tony, I think the idea was, right, like Shafir was fairly dominant and Tony Storm just escapes by rolling her up, right? But that I don't know. I don't think that helps anybody here. I thought this is harsh, but pretty much a waste of a women's match on Dynamite. Like outside of the baddies and Britt Baker, I think there's very little character development or detailed storytelling in the women's division, and it's strange because those are two things that this company's pretty good at in the men's division, right? So
I don't know what the disconnect is.
I don't know what, yeah, exactly. Like they just need to make an effort to put more time into, not even matches necessarily, but because again, maybe they're doing it all on Dark or Elevation, but I can't be expected to watch all of that. On your main like flagship show,
I know that's how the association between Shafir and Rose can be explained.
So you need to like either cover that in a quick vignette or something, like include the people that are only watching your main show, because they need to start doing a better job of treating the women. So I was not a big fan of this, and Tony Storm's been growing on me lately, but this match was just kind of there. I thought like this is not a good use of the only women's match. Since you're only willing to put one on every week, this was not a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
The aftermath was fine. I don't really care that much.
This is not good. Another short women's match in the middle of the show with the commercial breaking in, but this one sucked you like beyond that. Storm's good sometimes with the right opponent, then I don't mind her, but like case in point, Britt Baker last week.
Mm-hmm.
But here, Shafir, this was just not good. Shafir's not good. Like the MMA thing, I don't really care. Like she doesn't win, and then like all of her offense is just not that interesting. It doesn't look super impactful. She works really slow. Like I just don't care. I don't know why this is here. They must have really needed to fill time. This is a waste of that slot that they usually use for a women's match, like middle of the show. And the aftermath, I didn't really care for either.
Like if you want her to be like a shooter or if legitimate whatever, like the way Bobby Fish came in and he wasn't winning matches either. But somehow his style was just, it was awesome to watch. It was believable that this guy's a killer, right? Shafir, I'm just not, even though she could probably kill me in 5 seconds, I'm not believing it in these matches. Because why is everyone afraid of her or whatever when she doesn't
beat her?
She doesn't ever win.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
Right. Next we get a Darby Allin Sting promo, which I didn't really catch anything from.
It felt like this was a late edition. Like, hey, the pay-per-view's changed. We need you to talk about this for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. They were just talking about the feud that they're doing and whatnot. I don't remember much specific. I just thought Darby sounded off, so
he didn't sound great.
You can find it if you want, but I don't think it really matters. And I thought it was okay, but as Darby sounded off, I didn't love it a ton. And now that Sting is back, I feel like I'll care less about him. That kind of sucks. I don't know why they're teaming with Takagi and Takahashi, much less why they're called dudes with attitudes.
Right, and that's what
they are. And this promo is still better than Athena Statlander, so it didn't completely suck. But like,
It
I
felt
don't know,
random.
Darby just didn't sound good here, and I don't know, I just didn't love it.
I feel like this was kind of a last minute, like, hey, Sting Darby, we need you to cut like a 40-second promo on this, right? And they
Right.
just kind of did it.
Yeah,
And
that
again,
would make sense.
the pay-per-view feels like a bit of a mess with so many changes and moving parts. And like, this is where at the point where I wrote in my notes, I have no idea what. So we finished watching this show just before coming down here, right? And my notes say, I have no idea what the card is, and it's tomorrow, right? So just so much stuff going on. It just felt like he was asked to go out and try and generate some heat for this last second match, and this is what he did. And I didn't think it was great either.
Next we have Phoenix Andrade promo thingy. Phoenix talks about how Andrade took away his opportunity of being interim AEW champion with a low blow in a battle royal. Wasn't a year ago, so that's okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
It was via a low blow.
Right.
So that makes more sense than Christian automatically.
Yes.
Andrade asked why this is still about the battle royal, which wasn't a year ago, so it still makes more sense. And he has other things to do. Phoenix says when Andrade came to AEW, he tried to get the Lucha Bros to work for them, or to work for him, and they work for nobody. He challenged them to a match on Rampage. Andrade said something I didn't quite catch, and then you'll see him on Friday.
See, this was simple, and I liked it. I'm not saying Phoenix's delivery is amazing, because obviously English isn't his first language, but it was a good enough job, right? And they let us know, I'm mad because you eliminated me in a recent match with a low blow by cheating, and I remember when you came here and you tried to like buy us to have us work for you, right? So that's
Right.
nice. Two little things to set up what's probably an awesome match that we haven't seen yet, but I'm hoping we'll check it out maybe tonight or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had no problem with this because there's a point to this, right? So I was okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this. I always enjoy this kind of style of promo package. Like, it's the back and forth kind of one. It should be great. We're yet to see it, even though it happened yesterday. I like that it's stemming from the Battle Royal, which is recent. Then also the prior history lends itself very well. Combine this with Jeff Cobb, Cash Wheeler on Rampage. It seems like a watch for this week.
Yeah, we'll check that out.
One of those times. There's the Forbidden Door card updates and advertisements. Then we had our main event, which is Chris Jericho and Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, this I don't know if you noticed because you're sitting in front of me. I was struggling to stay awake for part of this. I was like you last night watching UK a little bit. I almost, just because I don't care about 3/4 of the people in this match. No offense to Tanahashi, Archer, and Jericho. I just don't care. And this is the main event of a go home show.
I don't remember last time Archer was on. Okay, it was the Hangman match.
So
I do remember, but like that was a while ago.
I wasn't super interested in this, and it didn't really change my
Didn't
mind.
know where to deliver.
No, it didn't. Yeah, exactly.
Mox and Jericho brawl at ringside while Archer and Tanahashi go out in the ring when the match starts. Archer distracts the refs so Guevara at ringside can grab Mox's leg when he's on the apron. Mox shakes him off and now allows Jericho to hit his trademark springboard dropkick, which Mox kind of walked into.
Mox had to sort of turn, walk towards it, and like make no attempt to defend himself, which looked kind of lame.
Yeah, there's a bit of a hot take flurry, I think, by Tanahashi. The suicide dive by Mox on Archer later. Tanahashi ducked the juice effect, hit a single knee face breaker. Jericho countered the high fly flow into the walls of Jericho.
Yeah.
And then the finish comes when Mox hit a paradigm shift to Archer, tagged out, and then Tanahashi hit a high fly flow for the win. And then after the match, the participants in that 6-man tag at Forbidden Door, which is like Jericho, Suzuki, Guevara, and then it's insert Japanese guy, Kingston, and
the guy we've never heard of,
Shota Umino.
Never heard of him.
Umanu,
which is surprising.
Yeah. And so there's just like a brawl, and as Mox and Tanahashi stand off in the ring, and it goes way too long.
It does. So my question: Jericho's part of a large faction and tags with who? Archer. Because
Suzuki-kun.
I guess, right? So I struggled to get into this match. I don't think it was bad, probably, but again, I don't care about 3/4 of the people involved. I didn't think there was much of note happening here. Lackluster main event to what I thought was a pretty weak second hour of this show, right? The post-match stuff was standard Dynamite issue at this point, and unfortunately, because we've already had Suzuki, right? That wasn't a major arrival or anything because we've already seen him
multiple times, right?
He's super cool and everything, but if this was the first time he walked out, it would have been a lot different. So I thought just like underwhelming main event for sure. You?
That is a perfect way to put it, because it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't very interesting or entertaining that much.
And it's a tag match. They usually like are great at this kind
Yeah,
of
I
stuff.
don't care about
but
Jericho or Archer. They just basically did their typical stuff, and I don't remember much that was interesting.
There wasn't.
Tanahashi wasn't the best either. Like,
He's not in his prime. Let's be real, right? Like he's not.
this is who they picked to face Mox in the main event. Like,
Yeah, he's post prime. He's still fine, but
there's at least like 3 matches I'd rather see than
easily.
this one, which I assume will main event. Which
It is. They
probably not
announced
good.
it as main
Oh.
event.
Yay!
Anyways,
And Mox is solid. If you compare this to last week's main event, it looks really weak too. Because
Agree.
last week's main event was also a tag match.
But
Granted, it was a
super
ladder
fun.
match, but it was awesome.
Good point.
That was the main event though, so that like a main event
Yes.
lives up to the name.
Yes.
Post match stuff was interesting or notable, and it far overstayed its welcome. Thoughts
Agree.
on this show, which I bet was definitely as good as last week.
Just an okay episode of Dynamite. I thought nothing really special. I enjoyed Penta Malachi Black. Could have been longer. And the 6-man tag was my match of the night. Aussie Open might be my MVPs in ring of this episode. And
Absolutely.
I thought, to be fair, Silas Young Hangman was all it needed to be as well. But the women's match and the main event, that's that second hour to me, it was sort of like it peaked in the first hour and then it just kind of waned after that. So I didn't love that. Segments were kind of standard. The only thing that really stood out for me, good or bad, was the second half of Christian's promo, which I really liked. So for me, this was a B- show.
But still, that's only like half a promo.
Right. A couple of cool things, but not a super strong show overall. And the only thing I would say people watch would be the Aussie Open Osprey 6-man tag match. Other than that, like I don't think there's anything here you really needed. And I'm kind of looking forward to getting past Forbidden Door. Because again, there's just too much going on for me right now as they're building to 2 shows simultaneously, and it's not working for me. So I'm looking to get past that. You?
Yeah, I think like the only thing you should go see is that 6-man tag. I think that was really great.
I loved
definitely match of the night.
Yep.
But a close second, I liked Black and Penta. I think that was pretty good.
It was.
And then the other matches, like I think Young Hangman was solid for what it was. The women's match sucked, and the main event kind of sucked. None of the segments really stand out. I think, like you said, I like the latter half of Christian's promo. I think that was solid. And then, like, honestly, I'm not like, I think Danielson's promo was like fine, and Mox's promo was solid, but like,
and the
nothing's
baddie
really
stuff was
out.
fine, but it's all kind of standard stuff, right?
I guess like the Statlander thing with Athena,
Bad.
that sucked.
Yep.
So that was another really bad one. Nothing, and like, it's just like a cluster of a bunch of stuff, like
on a go home show, right? Which should be strong, and it was just like there's so much stuff and so much. Some of it's not their fault because things are changing, people are hurt, and people are not allowed to compete. But it's like a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on. So I don't know. It wasn't a horrible show, so I'd give it a B-, but it wasn't great, and it definitely stepped down from last week.
Yeah, last week
by
was awesome.
a decent margin.
Agree. All right, well then let's take a break from overanalyzing a wrestling program and talk about some wrestling trivia instead in a segment we call Off the Top of His Head. All right, well, I'm going to go back to the Kid Addle quiz that is sometimes good and sometimes not, but entertaining when it's not, at least, because we can laugh at how bad the questions are. So we're picking up at question 59 of 100 and something. And I feel like this one may have come up before, but it's been a while. So here you go. Ready? Question number 1 today, 59 overall. Who was the first winner of the first ever WrestleMania match in 1985? Cheater.
Tito Santana.
Correct. Since we have, up behind him, we have one of our wrestling posters is the match card from WrestleMania.
At the bottom it says, matches are listed in reverse order of appearance.
So he looked to see that it was Tito Santana versus the Executioner, and then he had a 50-50 shot.
I probably could have guessed.
He is cheating, and we'll call him out.
Executioner was like, I know it's some other wrestler, like, I forget the name. Oh, I think it was Playboy Buddy Rose or something. In like a gimp or something.
Could be. Which
That's what they said.
WWE Hall of Famer won the first ever Intercontinental Championship?
Pat Patterson.
Correct.
The first Intercontinental Championship.
Even I knew that one. Ooh, here's a hard one.
In Rio de Janeiro, right?
That's right.
Unify the North and South American titles, right?
Here's a hard one. What does WWE stand for?
Walk with Elias.
Correct.
We want Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't even.
Worldwide eating.
Who was the first Sorry, who has won the most? Interesting. I don't think this makes sense. Who has won the most championships in WWE? As written.
Cena?
Yes, very
I guess.
good. Because I guess specifically World Wrestling Entertainment, not Federation. I don't know.
Right.
Which bleached blonde superstar under a mask was beat, I'll read it as it's written, by Tito Santana in the first ever match of WrestleMania?
Was the Executioners that played with Buddy Rose?
It was Buddy Rose.
Yeah.
That's funny because you just talked about that and it came up. I like this question.
That's pretty funny.
And I think you'll know. The party foul is which wrestler's signature move?
Adam Rose?
Correct.
It just sounded like an Adam Rose thing.
Very good. Can you name the first U.S. city to host 2 WrestleMania tournaments?
What?
I wonder if that word's correct.
I don't know.
So let's say to host 2 WrestleManias and then eliminate the word.
Did you say city or New York?
City.
Or New York?
Correct. Very good.
I just figured because they're in. I know that's where Madison Square Garden is, and that was the first WrestleMania. So
Right.
That's just most likely.
And it's New York, so it's,
yes.
So here's a very Jack question, actually. What color was Shawn Michaels' outfit in his popular tournament against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25? I think whoever wrote this, like tournament means match to them. It might just be like English, not
It was
a
like
first
white,
time.
right? I think it was like white
White
and
and
brown or like beige.
They're not saying that, but again, I'm colorblind, and you're very detail man. White and what is Rollins' outfit we loved?
Gold.
Correct.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's funny because that reminds me.
That I might be thinking Mania 26.
I saw a little thing where they were contrasting how Roman Reigns is a company guy and Seth Rollins not so much. So they asked, I think it was Reigns, why he doesn't wear white gear, because I think he wore it once or something, and he tried to explain something diplomatically. And then they asked Rollins the same question, and he said because Vince doesn't like it and he's a crazy old man or something like that. Like, just super honest about it, right? Like, Vince doesn't like white ring gear for some reason.
Even though it's the best. Like, that's... Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to do it all the time, but it's, like, awesome when they do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Weird. This is the phrasing they chose. Who enabled Stone Cold Steve Austin to win in the major event of WrestleMania X7?
The major event.
Who enabled him?
The premium live event.
Who enabled him to win the major event?
Vince.
Yeah, Vince. Yeah. I think what they're saying is who helped him win the match. Is that what they mean?
No, he enabled him to win at the major live event. Okay.
At which WrestleMania did The Rock debut? He's thinking. He's looking like a golden
12?
retriever. Very close.
13.
Correct.
Okay, I knew it was one of those.
Which year was Austin Aries released from WWE?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
It was 17.
Correct.
Okay.
Wow. Very
Is
good.
it 17 or 18? I said because I knew 17 was, remember when he was on commentary for 205 Live, then he came back and he had the matches with Neville.
Right.
So I figured either he got released that year or his release is granted the year after.
It's too bad because he was awesome. Yeah, awesome wrestler.
Yes.
Not an awesome person. Go. Yeah.
Remember he was affiliated with Cross and Moose?
Yes.
Oh, that was so weird.
Which season of the original NXT did Alex Riley make his WWE debut?
2.
Correct. Wow.
I don't
that was kind of a guess, eh?
Yeah.
And they don't even have the answer right, but that's okay. Oh, and I'm going to read it as written. What is the full form of APA?
Acolytes Protection Agency.
Good. So you're right.
Yeah.
They're wrong. They have Acolytes Protecting Agency. And I like what is the full form of APA? That's awesome. Instead of like, what does APA stand for?
Right.
Next question. Who did Andre the Giant face in the first match of the following round in the WWF Champ? Wow. Let me sort that out for a second. Who did Andre the Giant face in the first match of the following round in the WWF Championship competition at WrestleMania 4?
Hulk Hogan.
Correct. I don't know what I read there.
If I didn't know what happened at that if they didn't list the show and like I would know because like I know he and Hogan, I think they were they had a match, but then they like double counted out or double DQ'd or something, so they ended in no contest. So I know that was Andre's only match in the tournament.
Right.
So yeah, otherwise that would be confusing.
Confusingly worded question too.
Yes. Was it even a question? I don't know.
I don't think you'll know this one. Apollo Crews new NXT star, right? Since we haven't been
What was
following
his
it.
name before NXT? I remember what it was.
Uhaa Nation.
Right.
Apollo Crews was trained by which former WWE superstar?
Oh.
And that former WWE superstar is a strong word because he wasn't there long. Big guy, wrestled in like street clothes, kinda. Wore a hat sometimes too while he wrestled, I think. Big tough guy.
Godfather.
Known by Mr. something. Mr. Hughes. Do you know him? No. Wow, we've stumped Jack.
I feel like I've heard that before, but I don't remember.
Oh, this is a great question. Ready? Which of the superstars was not a part of the alliance?
Okay.
So they've picked one, and you have to know specifically which one of this giant company was not part of the alliance.
Oh, so I just to guess one.
Yeah.
Like, The Rock.
No.
Like that's one. Undertaker, Kane.
It is a single name, and it's a Canadian person. And he's still in
What,
WWE to this day, or he's back in WWE to
Edge?
this. Correct.
Okay.
That's a great question.
Cool.
What was the WWE called originally?
WWF.
Right, so I think you're more right than their answer.
Why did they say WWF?
They did.
Yeah. No, I know it was WWF.
What else we got here? Where is the WWE Performance Center?
Orlando.
Correct. How many times has John Cena won the WWE Championship?
Just the W title. 13. If we're going world titles, it's 16.
We're going world.
Okay, so 16.
Correct. And I think we'll end on... No, because that one's too easy. I'll give you two more. Who has won more than 20 consecutive WrestleMania matches?
Oh, I don't know. Probably Pat McAfee, right?
The Overgiver?
Undertaker.
Right.
Overgiver, right?
Last question. Who is the only WWE superstar to have attended the Academy Awards? So that's for movies. In
Rock?
case you don't know. Correct. Very good.
Duh.
So yeah, we'll continue. So
It sounds hard unless you think about
I'll
it.
make a note here that we went up to question 80, and I think we get one more week of the Kedaddle, which has been
The Kedaddle.
somewhat entertaining
What a name,
for
too.
me, right? So that's going to wrap up that somewhat interesting trivia and move us back into looking at a specific wrestling show, and that specific wrestling show is the June 23rd offering from NXT UK. So this is the show that you saw most of. You dozed off for a barn burner of a match that I offered to rewatch for you, but you politely declined.
Right.
I wouldn't have watched it again. I'm just kidding. There's no way. So we get, and remember, I think you were awake for the beginning, caps lock thorough recap of the
Yes.
final.
It was basically like
The whole thing.
the recap of the segment, just like edited together differently.
Right, with a little bit of voiceover maybe.
Right.
And so anyways, of the final segment from last week where Trent Seven finally turned on Tyler Bate after sort of teasing his retirement, I guess. So yeah, they really, really went over that again. And then it starts out with Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. They're heading to the ring to make an announcement. So Smith spends some time putting over Carter and their time together, and then he announces that he is injured and has to take time off. So then he apologizes to Carter. Carter, being the good baby face that he is, obviously tells him that's okay and that he's always going to have Smith's back. So Smith calls out Sid Scala, and we chuckled a bit because he
For
called
a
him
match.
he called him the assistant to the general manager, which as Office fans I quite enjoyed anyways.
Also, I find it funny like that this brand has that for some reason, and that's just like never been a thing ever.
No, and that he's always the one there too. He's
Right. It's like it's basically like Sid Scala's the general manager.
yes.
Like, I feel like Johnny Saint's only there because he was like a British wrestling
I
legend
think
or something.
that's to sort of give them legitimacy when it first started, I think. So Scala comes out, says that they need to have active tag team champions. So Carter and Smith end up relinquishing the titles.
Wait, why don't they just crown interim champions? I don't
Right?
understand.
Right?
That's the thing now.
So Scala announces them one last time as the tag team champions, and then they hand over their titles. So then we get all of the teams that want a shot at this come out to interrupt. So it's De Familia at first. They point out, and their heel logic, they're right. They were never pinned in the triple threat, so they want the tag team titles just handed to them. And then Briggs, Jensen come out.
Yay!
Mark Andrews and Wild Boar, who are a team now, and then Mastiff and Stars also come out. So Scala takes the opportunity to announce a 4-way elimination match for the titles as the main event of this week's show.
Right, 'cause it was supposed to be Smith and Carter defend against the Redneck American Boys.
Right.
That should be their tag name. Boys with a Z, by the way.
Boys.
Yes.
So I was a little surprised by this because I hadn't heard anything about Smith being injured, right? So
I didn't notice anything either.
I think that's just because UK is really not on the radar at all. Because he was wearing like a splint or knee brace or whatever when noticed when he walked out of the ring, and that must be
Yeah, I know. I noticed that when he came in. Too.
Must be devastating for Smith and Carter because they were honestly kind of hitting their stride, right? I'd kind of become.
I'm sure they'll probably get it back.
I think so too. I'd become fans of them. They've been putting in a lot of high quality matches, I thought, recently. So I'm at this point in the show, right, without seeing it yet, I was really fine with an actual high stakes main event being added. So I was at this point saying, I hope
but
it's
good. But I did
good.
warn you it was going to be interesting.
And we'll see what happens.
Yes.
And then we get a vignette from earlier today where Saray is backstage and she's meeting Meiko Satomura. And obviously,
oh, right. Did I miss her match?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
Showing respect for that. And then because Amelia McKenzie is affiliated with Meiko, right?
And she should do better and win more, right? Or what
yeah, that's what it was. Something like
be
that.
Be better or something like that.
So Saray ends up leaving. Amelia McKenzie's still there with Meiko, and Meiko tells her that she will face Fallon Henley next week, and she hopes to see Fighting Spirit. So I kind of thought this was a random way to set up a match, right? Like, if Meiko had made a match between McKenzie and Saray, that kind of made sense. But, like, Saray walks out, and she's like, oh, you're in a match with somebody else that had nothing to do with this segment. So
I think it'd be funny if... I think what they should do is Meiko should injure herself, and then Fallon Henley's first match, she wins the NXT UK Women's title facing Amelia McKenzie.
And they all, the rednecks have gold
in UK.
Non-stop
too.
gold.
In UK. The most, like, stereotypical American rednecks have gold in NXT UK.
They did let Meiko...
Emphasis on the UK.
They did let Meiko speak a lot here, which is different from usual.
Bold choice.
And she did fine. Like, whatever. It was okay. Then we get Shaw Samuels backstage. He stops Sid Scala. He complains about losing their tag match last week and talks about wanting a one-on-one with Wolfgang. Then he starts sort of talking trash about Wolfgang and the classic, like, sitcom trope where Wolfgang approaches him from behind and Samuel's like, he's right behind me, isn't he? And then
I don't know how he knew that without, like, it's not even like Wolfgang was stepping that loud.
Samuels ends up leaving while yelling about something. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of this.
Yeah, I didn't. It was whatever. I don't know. I feel like it was just kind of there.
It's like a mid-card feud, right, I guess. So that's fine and all. But I feel like we get a lot of Shaw Samuels on this show.
Yeah, not a lot. Like, I mean, Dar was there last week, but, like, why was there... We got Shaw this week and no Dar.
We do get Dar later. You must have been asleep for that.
Oh, I didn't get Dar.
We get a bit... You did not get Dar, no. Then we get our first women's match of the night, and that is Myla Grace.
Back again.
I think she's the worst of the interchangeable
also, I found
blonde.
out Dar is with another one of the jobbers. It's Aaliyah James. If you ever see her, she's with Dar.
So Grace, I think, is my least favorite of the interchangeable blonde mid-low card wrestlers that are abundant in UK. So she's taken on Isla Dawn.
Good news. I think the one with Dar is not blonde.
Nice.
I think I went out just before this, or just as this. I remember seeing the entrances.
This match didn't keep your.
Or we might have. No, I don't know. I don't remember much of this.
Because we were watching this late last night, and people had just left their house, and you'd been swimming and running around, so you were tired. So we get pinning predicaments and counters early on in this. Isla Dawn takes a shortcut because she's the heel to get control. She's in control. I
forgot about her, honestly, after like the whole title thing.
Yeah. So Dawn's in control with really basic offense, and for me, I'm blaming Myla Grace because I think she's just so inexperienced that she's not capable of taking much, and that kind of limits Isla Dawn too. Grace escapes, hits clotheslines and a leg drop.
Isla versus Myla.
We get a really slow, I don't think you saw this, 619 to the midsection by Myla Grace, and then a tornado DDT.
I just picture it now.
And then we get a quick little high knee head kick and an Uranagi type slam thing by Isla Dawn for a pretty sudden win here. This match wasn't very good. Grace does not impress me at all. She's the one that, like, I find even the way she runs the ropes, like she doesn't even comfortably run the ropes at this point. So I'm not sure.
That's kind of not good because
I'm not sure why she's in matches, like multiple matches in the last few weeks, it seems. I do like Isla Dawn, but this was definitely not her best work here. And I guess you don't have much to say because you don't remember it.
I don't remember it at all.
We then learn, just sort of put up in a graphic, I think, that Tyler Bate is taking a leave of absence. So whether that's storyline or real, I don't know. I imagine it's storyline because I'm assuming that we may get, like, what's his face, Trent Seven bothering him as he's trying to take a leave. Would make sense, right?
Or like maybe he's just being a dick to people, and then like
Yeah, I don't know.
which is the opposite of real life turn 7.
And then Bate has to come back and be a hero. I don't know.
I don't know. I think your thing works better.
We then get a recap of Kenny Williams and his whole issues with being stalked by Tiger Turan.
Turan.
But Turan.
I don't know. It's funny the announcers say it different than the commentators.
So it was fine, I guess, but it didn't add any new information. It's like, in case you haven't watched in the last 6 weeks or
And we
whatever,
have.
here's kind of what's going on. So yeah, it didn't do much for
Right.
me. So then Noam Dar, I guess you missed this as well, brings the Heritage Cup into Sid Scala's office.
Oh, I definitely didn't see this.
He brags about dominating the division, and he had an epiphany. He needs to retire on top, but wants one more match. He wants double pay since it's a farewell match, and then that was basically it. He didn't suggest who it would be or anything like that.
Here's what it is. He loses the cup. He goes to 2.0. He changes his name. That's how it goes.
Oh, you might be right. It's funny. I know you're like half joking maybe, but like my thought was, that makes me a bit happy you said that, because I thought this kind of telegraphs that he's not going to lose because he's not going to retire, right? But you're right. They could easily do that.
Which I would hate, because Dar is one of the last left standing.
So the new game is pick a name for him on NXT.
Ooh.
It's got to be something lame.
Sylvester or something.
Jeremy. Oh, I was going to say Strong, but we've already got that. Jeremy Power. Welcome to NXT. Welcome to the CWC.
Oh, it should be something weird though. Like I don't like. I want to say like Sylvester or something.
So yeah,
Like it's like Ludwig Kaiser. What the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where do you get this from?
Noam Dar getting away from WWE would be cool, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere
I don't know
else.
where he'd go. Probably
But
we
anyways.
probably wouldn't see him.
Then we get another match that you missed, and it's Nina Samuels, who I don't think's very good. I think I'm going to say that now.
Like, I think she's just like old.
She's taking on Saray.
She is the UK Natalia.
Saray does the transformation thing for her entrance. In case you were wondering, she is sort of.
That was my number one question.
You missed it, man. So Saray's in control early. Samuels uses underhanded tactics to shift the momentum. She applies a bow and arrow at one point to Saray. We then get a drop kick to Samuel's leg, but Saray is selling an injured back, so she can't suplex Samuels. We get an eventual top rope double stomp by Saray before the big drop kick that she does to her opponent seated in the ropes, and then some sort of like exploder suplex by Saray, and she wins this match.
I think that's her typical combo.
It is. This match wasn't great either. Samuels really doesn't do anything for me. Like, I don't feel like she can actually execute a lot of wrestling moves. She's just kind of like there. I guess the final flurry by Saray was pretty good, but the rest I thought was very forgettable. We then go to a Blair Davenport vignette. Did you see this?
Nope.
You were out longer than I thought.
I didn't even notice I was out.
Well, no, that's how it happens sometimes, right? You just drift. Everyone is on notice, she says. Mako should be scared. She, meaning Davenport, is the rightful heir to the championship, and she will be back next week. I assume it's in action. I don't know. They didn't clarify. I thought it was a cool enough little vignette to remind us that she's there and she's coming. And I always say it, I'm glad she's back. They need some talent at the top or near the top of this division. Saray is then approached by Zaya Brookside, and I had blank because I can never remember her name, and you reminded me it's Eliza Alexander. Ran into her backstage. They sort of briefly mock Saray's necklace, and then my summary of is, and then mean girl her for a bit before.
I thought they were gonna steal it.
Before Mako walks up as sort of, I guess, backup for Saray, and the other two chicken heels leave. Obviously, sure, fine, whatever.
Sure, fine, whatever. Is that your opinion?
That's my analysis.
That's your analysis.
I'm going deep on that one.
Oof.
Then we get another sort of, I think it was just a graphic saying that Trent will address the NXT universe next week, hoping it's more interesting than his ever so transparent heel turn last week that took so long when we're like, we all know what you're going to do. Just do it. But anyways, the main event is the 4-way tag team elimination match for the tag team championships. It's Wild Boar and Mark Andrews versus Briggs and Jensen versus Stars and Mastiff versus D Familia, which in this case is Teoman and
They should be called symbiotic
Rohan
subculture.
Raja. Should be what?
The Andrews and Wild Boar, to make a stupid name, should be symbiotic subculture.
Right. Because Andrews is still wearing the subculture gear and the subculture music, I believe, when they come out, right? So anyways,
where are the other two?
I swear that Danny Luna was released. I thought.
Yeah, but what about
Morgan Webster? I don't know. I haven't seen him.
I don't think either of them got spoken out, did they?
I don't think so.
Because I think they were around after that.
But Danny Luna I don't know. I thought she had potential. She was like a powerhouse kind of thing.
I still hate Flash Morgan Webster.
You do. So Rohan Raja tags himself in early on just to sort of drive home the fact that there's two guys in and anyone from any team can be tagged in from there,
I
right?
don't like when they do it like that.
So he takes control of Mark Andrews, and then Wild Boar and Andrews end up attacking Raja's leg for a little bit here. Later, Briggs and Jensen double team Wild Boar until Teoman tags himself in, and he carries on the assault to Wild Boar. Boar ends up tagging in Mastiff, and he obviously overpowers Teoman. And then Stars and Mastiff spend some time isolating Teoman and double teaming and tagging in and out and stuff. We get a really long delayed vertical suplex by Mastiff to Teoman. Andrews hits his shooting star press to a group of people out on the floor. I think it was 4 of them huddled around taking the shooting star press. Boar and Mark Andrews then double team Teoman, hit a shotgun drop kick into a German suplex that was actually a kind of
I thought that was neat.
a cool little sequence. Stars hits an inside cradle to Mark Andrews for the first elimination of this match. So
for a while I forgot his elimination.
Yeah.
Then they mentioned it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it took a while for someone to be eliminated. This match got a lot of time for sure. Mastiff then dominates Jensen, hits a running crossbody. Raja hits a full flatliner, then a short flatliner, and that eliminates Mastiff and obviously Stars along with Mastiff. So we're down to our final two. It's Briggs and Jensen and D Familia. So Briggs is selling, I think, a back or something on the apron as D Familia are working over Jensen for a bit. Jensen finally hits a belly to back suplex and makes the tag to Briggs. We get a Dempsey distraction to stop Briggs' momentum as he takes a backstabber. We then get I put a power slam blockbuster combination by D Familia to Briggs, but Jensen is able to break up the pinfall. So Jensen gets thrown really hard to the floor. Teoman repeatedly double stomps Briggs' injured back before locking in a crossface. Briggs ends up escaping, throws Teoman and tags in Jensen. Teoman ends up being discarded kind of out on the floor. And unfortunately, Briggs and Jensen hit their high-low finisher.
Which is like it's just like a glorified clothesline because like
It is.
Jensen just like kind of
leg sweep
sweeps their leg, but
clothesline.
like hardly because like it's basically just a clothesline.
It is. So unfortunately, Briggs and Jensen pick up the win and are your new NXT Tag Team Champions.
UK.
Yes, as for sure, UK. So this was a really long match. I kind of thought the first half dragged a bit. Like there wasn't a lot of notable stuff.
I didn't find myself like super interested because I was kind of half
I was-
watching because I was finishing my notes from Dynamite.
I was hoping
And-
to love it, but
Yeah, it was just okay. Like I wasn't super interested.
I agree. I thought the action near the end was a little bit better. Not a big fan of Briggs and Jensen winning the titles here. I just don't.
I think that's stupid. And like A, they're not good. B, like it's a UK brand.
And I don't think UK fans or the talent there are going to be super happy with this.
No.
I guess NXT, in their defense, UK had no choice. They had to do something because of Smith's
I
injury.
think D Familia would make sense.
Me too.
Though.
But I'm not sure why these guys got the title shot. Whatever. The division isn't exactly stacked, right? This is basically the entire division was in the ring for this match, so I don't know where you go from here. And I guess Briggs and Jensen are baby faces, so I would have D Familia still in the running, but that's just me.
I agree, but I don't know why this is necessary.
Me either. So overall, this show I was not a huge fan of. The women's matches felt really similar to me, and neither of them were really good. I didn't think. The main event was, I'll go pretty good, but not as good as I would have hoped for like a 4-team match with stakes. I thought it might be a little bit more entertaining. And the segments were short and forgettable, with the opening tag title relinquishing being the only major segment of note, I thought,
Right.
here. So I gave this show a C this week. I was not really impressed. Like even the main event, I don't think really delivered. So it was a C. You? From what you saw, the half that you saw, what would you give it?
So the opening segment was fine. Was the only match that I saw the main event?
I think so, yeah, because otherwise it was the 2 women's matches.
Okay, so I didn't.
Yet
miss
again, UK puts double the number of women's matches in half the time of it, like for show.
anything. Right, as Dynamite,
Interesting.
even though none of them were good, but
Right.
They
They still had 2. They
yes.
tried.
And the main event was good. It was okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure how to grade it because I've seen 2 things.
Right. Of those 2 things.
I'll just agree with you because that makes sense.
Fair enough. Always agree with me. It's a general rule of thumb. It's always it's good for you.
I'm held at gunpoint.
So that's our UK review, and now I'm going to take a look at a couple pay-per-views, and we'll preview one in our segment we like to call Any Other Wrestling Business. All right, so I'm going to start out talking about, you didn't watch it with me, unfortunately. I think you would have enjoyed a lot of it. So from June 19th, It was GCW's I Never Liked You pay-per-view. So I've watched a little bit of GCW, not a ton, but I'm probably going to go back and watch more after this. This was a really fun show. I thought it had a serious ECW vibe to it, largely due to the crowd participation. And I told you, maybe you saw a bit of it. They were right up to ringside, like the fans are literally leaning on the apron.
I caught a glimpse, yeah.
And for spots outside the ring, they would just sort of clear out of the way and cooperate, right? And the in-ring work too, because it's kind of a very indie show for sure. Kind of feels like ECW back in the day. So if you like indie style wrestling, I would recommend checking out this show. I really enjoyed it, pretty much top to bottom. A few things worth mentioning, not every match on the show. I really like the opener with heel Blake Christian, who has now cut his hair off short. He defeated Jordan Oliver in about 12 minutes with a jumping stomp. So a really good opener, and I have been really impressed. I've seen Jordan Oliver now probably 3 or 4 times, and I really like him. It looks like he's part of some faction or group that they're calling Young, Dumb, and Broke. And the crowd really, they have like a chant. They're like Young, Dumb. I can't even do it. But anyways, they have a chant that the crowd sort of gets into. So a really fast-paced, fun opener. Then we had, have you heard of Cole Radrick before?
Yes.
You have, because I had not. So
I just follow the one guy who covers. His name was on the ring, Kings Road Wrestling.
Right.
He usually posts about it, so I kind of see it. I don't really know much, but I see it.
So Cole Radrick defeated Ninja Mac in a really good 9-minute match where he countered. Radrick countered a Phoenix 630, which is pretty cool in itself. So he countered that into a pinfall for the win. So like I said, I'd never seen Radrick. His physique, to me, I described him to you as like a Trevor Murdoch, only smaller. So not really in shape at all, right? But he showed some really good intensity and aggression. And Ninja Mac is just capable of some crazy stuff. So I thought this was a really fun, quick match, less than 10 minutes. We then got another sort of 9-minute match. So that was Gringo Loco, ASF, and Dragon Kid. They defeated Miedo Extremo, Ciclope, and Commander. And I think this is the match where one of the Miedo, it was Miedo Extremo, I think. His mask, when he went to take his shirt off, he pulled his mask off too, and he just left it. He just left it off. But anyways,
Nice.
I'd never seen Drago Kid before, or Miedo Extremo, or Commander. Fun match, kind of all over the place. Gringo Loco, who I've seen a bunch, he's pretty nuts. He picked up the pinfall with a spinning power bomb off the second rope. Really fun 9-minute car crash with a lot of new talent to me. I really like Commander did some really cool stuff, so I don't know where he came from, but very fun match. Joey Janela then defeated JT Dunn, another guy I had not heard of before. 16-minute match. Janela flattened him with a really nice super kick to win it that Dunn sold like a champion. So these guys put on a really good match, and at one point Dunn hit, I think you were around for this, he hit a second rope tombstone pile driver through 2 open chairs.
Yeah.
You saw that, right? That was pretty cool.
Oh, yes, I saw a bit of this one.
Because that was right before the finish, and then Janela like kicked his head off with a super kick. So this was a cool match. It got a lot of time compared to the couple that came before it. Then we had what they call a 5-way scramble match, and that was Tony Deppen, Effie, Jimmy Lloyd, Marcus Mathers, and Dustin Waller. So I'd never.
Is it like the championship scramble from WWE where it's like you pin them and then you can't have to pin the person who?
It was one fall to a finish, I believe. If I remember
then
correctly.
it's just like a 5-way then.
So I've seen Deppen a ton because he was in Ring of Honor. I've seen Effie a couple times, Lloyd a couple times. Never seen Marcus Mathers or Dustin Waller, because Dustin Waller they said was like a local talent basically. So this only went 8 minutes, but so Deppen is now like a mega heel. So when he came down, he basically was like, I'm above this match. I can't believe you put me in a scramble. I just wrestled Moxley like the night before or whatever. So he left, but obviously in heel fashion, he picked his spot and eventually returned to this match, right? So I thought Marcus Mathers showcased a lot in this, hit a ton of cool looking offense. Again, I hadn't seen him before. And Waller was local talent, really skinny kid, but he also did some pretty impressive stuff. And Jimmy Lloyd, who I've seen a few times now, I really like him. He's got some like innovative, high impact stuff that he does, so I enjoyed this as well. Deppen ended up picking up the win with running double knees to Waller, but a really fun multi-man match here. And then the only other thing I'm going to talk about is the main event, which was awesome. So this was Will Ospreay, and he defeated 16-year-old. I have to remind myself of that. It's crazy. Nick Wayne in 19 minutes with the Hidden Blade followed by the Stormbreaker, I think it was.
Was it like he kind of lifted him up on his shoulder? And
yes.
Then Stormbreaker.
Excellent match, especially if you consider that Wayne is 16. That's even more impressive. Like, So much quickness and athleticism from both of these guys. I was actually impressed by Wayne selling for a 16-year-old, right? Because there's experienced guys who don't sell that well, but he did a good job. There was a second rope poison Rana by Wayne, but Ospreay flipped out of it and landed on his feet, which looked crazy. At one point, Wayne hit a dragon suplex followed by a poison Rana for a near fall, and then there was a sit out, a super kick, and then a sit out power bomb by Ospreay for a near fall. And anyways, Ospreay ended up winning the match, and after he kind of helped Wayne up to his feet, grabbed a microphone, cut a really nice promo, putting Nick Wayne over, and saying basically that he reminds Ospreay of himself at a younger age. So I mean, I didn't go over every match, but overall, I thought this was an excellent show, and honestly, I'm looking forward to watching some more GCW. Just because I've dropped NXT, so I've got some time, right? And as my work is coming up to a downtime, I'll have a lot more time to watch some wrestling. So I'm gonna keep checking out GCW. Really impressed by the talent, many of which I was unfamiliar with before this show, and the crowd was awesome added to it. So I gave this show actually an A-. People could go out and definitely check out the main event. You want to see a 16-year-old and Will Ospreay have a really good match? Go check it out. We'll fly through some Slammiversary quickly. Did you watch any of this? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
I told you I was really disappointed in the X Division Ultimate X match. So that was Ace Austin defending against Kenny King, Mike Bailey, Trey Miguel, Alex Zane, and Andrew Everett. These matches are usually awesome. They are usually exactly what I'm looking for in an opener of a pay-per-view. Not the case this time. They got less than 10 minutes and lots of cooperative spots. There was a Tower of Doom involving everybody. There was one spot where two guys were engaged three guys, because I think it was like a double suplex, and they were just bent over waiting for Mike Bailey to drop from the X and hit his Ultima weapon on them. So just like we talked about it, right? Like if this were a 25-minute match with that much cooperation, it wouldn't bother me.
It's like spaced out more.
Right, but this was condensed into 9 minutes, and I really did not enjoy this. I was glad to see Speedball win. He did pick up the win. But I thought the match was underwhelming. Then it was a pretty bland knockouts tag team match. Saw Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary win the titles for a largely non-existent tag division, right? Rosemary hit her finisher. What's that called? It's like the wing clipper, kind of. She hit it on Madison Rain, anyways. Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Sami Callihan defeated Moose in a brutal and entertaining Monsters Ball match. And these aren't generally my favorite types of matches, but the gimmick is that they're locked away for 24 hours beforehand. So I thought it was funny. At one point, Moose grabbed a hot dog and just ate a fan's hot dog because he hadn't eaten in a day. That was funny. Moose got shoved off the top through a table on the floor at one point. Of course, there was a bag of tacks introduced by Sammy. Moose hits a sky high onto the tack, so both of them ended up like Moose was pulling tacks out of his butt right after that move. We got a Death Valley driver through a barbed wire plank by Sammy for a near fall. And Moose, this looked super painful. So a trash can is on the ground with the open side down, right? So the bottom's facing up, and Moose got power bombed onto the trash can.
Nice.
It looked super painful. Basically, the finish came with a barbed wire bat attack from Sammy and his cactus driver, and he picks up the win, which I was pretty into this match, and it was kind of cool to see Moose branch out into like this hardcore stuff, right? And he really held his own against kind of a master of that style in Sami Callihan. So I really like this match. Surprise, surprise, the Good Brothers won back the tag team titles from the Briscoes in, I guess, a solid, I didn't think it was spectacular tag team match. And I can't stand the Good Brothers. I hate to see them win the titles again, but I can't say I'm surprised because I don't know how long the Briscoes are going to stick around in Impact, right? So it seemed like they're there for a little bit, win the titles, and then give them back to those idiots. I don't know why they won
the titles then. What they lost the titles another time because it's their third one. Finn just won the titles, right?
I believe so, yes.
I know they challenged them. I don't remember if they actually won.
I can't remember either. We then got a 10-man tag team match, which was Honor No More, Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, PCO, Mike Bennett, and Vincent, with Maria Kanellis obviously running interference several times, taking on Impact Originals. Do you know who was in this match? Who are your Impact Originals?
Davey Richards.
Correct. He was the mystery addition. So Davey Richards.
That's all I got.
Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, your boy.
Hey.
Frankie Kazarian on loan. And Nick Aldis, interestingly enough.
Oh, right.
So Magnus was back, right?
Yes.
Really good large team match. A lot of moving parts to it. Felt a little stale because it's basically the same thing they did when it was Impact versus Honor No More, except this time it's just with Impact Legends instead of people were there. So it's kind of like they're just running back the same formula they did with Honor No More earlier. But whatever. This was a fun match, really great pace, lots of action. Again, Davey was the surprise participant for the Legends. And on top of that, we got D'Lo Brown showed up in his aces and eights stuff, which made me laugh because that gimmick was so bad. He hit a really nice sky high and the lowdown to Kenny King. Tracy Brooks showed up. She pulled Maria off the apron at one point. Have I told you that I kind of know Tracy Brooks? Sorry,
No.
that's not true. I've met her a few times. She probably would not remember. So my roommate in university and post university a little bit, they were like best friends in high school. I think she grew up in Barrie, Ontario.
Oh, nice.
And she was best friends with a really good friend of mine from university. So when I went to Barrie to visit him a couple times, she was working in a bar at that point.
Cool, yeah.
Before she got into wrestling. Yeah.
Nice.
So anyways, Chris Sabin hit a cradle shock to PCO, and good old Earl Hebner shows up, reveals he has a referee shirt on, and counts the pinfall. So the originals get the win here. The final few minutes of this had too much going on for me, lots of run-ins and interference and stuff, but they were kind of tapping into their history, and the rest of the match was good, so it didn't bother me too much. Knockouts Queen of the Mountain match, your favorite, right, where they have to hang up the belt?
Yeah, it's so stupid.
So it's Tasha Steelz defending. She has Savannah Evans with her, defending against Deonna Purrazzo, Jordan Grace, Mia Yim, and Chelsea Green. So I actually preferred this match to the Ultimate X by a considerable margin. I thought these women did a really good job here. Lots of solid action. We got power bombs on ladders, flatliner on a ladder, obviously pinfalls and penalty boxes. So the way this match works, if you don't watch Impact, do you want to explain the rules? Do you know them?
There's like 5 people.
Yep.
And it's basically like a ladder match, but first you have to get a pinfall or submission.
Yes, you're not eligible to win until you pin someone.
So then you can win.
Yes.
And if you get pinned or submitted, you go in the penalty box for
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yep.
And then your goal is to climb the ladder, not grab the title. No. Hang title.
It up. That's right.
Before grabbing it because you win. I think it's a good concept aside from the hanging the title thing.
I agree. The rest was cool. Like
you just need to. I think it just needs to be a ladder match with the whole other stuff.
The whole idea of the pinfall or submission to be eligible is cool.
Yes, I think the name is cool, but I think the fact that you're hanging the title is kind of stupid.
Right. So I like this match, and I think you said you saw the ridiculous spot from this.
The table spot.
Where there's a tall ladder in the ring, and Green and Purrazzo are on either side of it, and it gets pushed over, so they fall from in the ring on a high ladder to the floor through a couple tables, and honestly, almost too much for me because there was not a lot of room between the ring and the barricade. So little room for error here, but they nailed it. It looked incredible, just an incredible spot. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's everywhere on the internets. So the finish to this, Jordan Grace hits a muscle buster on Tasha Steelz. That sends her to the penalty box. Grace climbs the ladder, hangs the belt, and then retrieves it, as you said, which makes total sense. To become the champion. I love Jordan Grace, so I'm really happy for her to have the championship here. And I thought that was a really good match with one absolutely insane spot. And then the main event, which was Josh Alexander, the champion of Impact Wrestling, defending against Eric Young with Diener and Joe Doring in tow, obviously a Violent by Design. I really enjoyed this match as well. This was, I told you, right, the words I used, I think, was it's basically a love letter to Impact and TNA's history.
Right.
And since I've watched the product the vast majority of its 20 years on air, I thought this was a really good match. Both of these guys are really strong workers. I had no thought that Eric Young would win, but I was still really entertained. We got a ton of signature moves of past Impact wrestlers. The ones I noted, there might have even been more. We got a black hole slam, an angle slam, which was actually off the apron through a table. We got a Styles Clash, a best moonsault ever, a stroke, which was Jeff Jarrett's move. We got a Canadian flag on a hockey stick pulled from under the ring, which was Team Canada's move. We had a guitar shot, which is Jeff Jarrett as well, right? So near the end of this, Eric Young pulls back the mat and the padding to expose the wood underneath the ring. He hits a pile driver to Alexander on the wood. Alexander somehow manages to kick out, and shortly after that, he drills. He absolutely nails that C4 spike every time. So he hits it to Eric Young on the exposed wood, and Josh Alexander does retain the title.
Was it like it was no DQ or something?
I don't know if it was technically, but it must have been. Oh, the guitar shot, I think the ref was distracted, so everything else maybe is legal. If you're allowed to slam a guy on a table, why can't you pull up the ring mat, right? I think.
Yes.
One weird thing, like Josh Alexander's kid is at ringside with his wife, and he's wearing matching singlet and headgear. But like some of the stuff, like I'm thinking if you're that age and you're watching like me get pile driven on wood and just, you know what I mean? Like it's odd for a kid to be watching his
It
dad do
is if
that.
you really think
If
about it.
the kid looks like he's like 3 years old or something. Anyways, excellent main event match. Again, I never thought Young would win, but this match delivered nonetheless. Commentary when it was over really put in time to put Alexander over as the future of the company, which I thought was a nice touch as the show went off the air. So this show had some really good stuff on it, but also some stuff that wasn't super impressive. And just in addition, we got appearances, some live and some recorded. We saw Sting, Gail Kim. Most interesting to me, I was surprised AJ Styles, right? But he also had to be like, I'd like to thank WWE for allowing me to do this. Like he still had to plug WWE. Kurt Angle, America's Most Wanted came out with Chris Harris not looking in the best shape of his life, to say the least, right? Christy Hemme, who did look fantastic, and even Dixie Carter made a little bit of appearance. So I would say off the strength of the main event, the Queen of the Mountain match, and the 10-man tag match, I gave this pay-per-view a B overall. All right, so it's time to do a preview. Are you ready?
Yes, so we'll preview the card for AEW and New Japan.
And make some predictions?
Wrestling's Forbidden Door. I haven't predicted anything.
Well, let's do it off the cuff, buddy.
So we had 3 buy-in matches, which is probably a record for AEW.
Yeah, that's cool.
Seems like it. First one is Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. I'll pick
that could be fun.
As There Go, Swerve in Our Glory. Because
Gross.
like I don't know, it just feels like a match vehicled for them to win. And
agree.
I hope that dissension thing is done.
So
also, because I'm not sure. I know there's a Rampage tournament, but and then we'll kind of have the opposite side of the spectrum where we have another tag match with buy-in. It's Hiroki Goto.
Yep.
I'm familiar with, and
Not
Yoshihashi, who I'm also familiar with.
Yep.
Against Factories, Aaron Solo and QT Marshall. So I feel like this one's also a vehicle for just a victory, but
for who?
On the opposite side of the spectrum, where this time it's being Goto and Yoshihashi.
If you're keeping track, I agree with both of those. I think Swerve and Keith Lee need a win, and I would agree. Just basically, it's the Factory. They don't win. They don't need a win ever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll balance it out. One for AEW.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Right?
One for New Japan. Sense. Yep.
Another one that's kind of obvious. The last buy-in match, an 8-man tag, Max Caster and the entirety of Gun Club versus LA Dojo's Alex Coughlin, DKC who just lost to Hook.
I like
Kevin
DKC.
Knight and Yuya Yamura.
Yes.
I think it is.
So, Coughlin is like this super jacked powerhouse guy with a mustache.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Caster and Gun Club because the other guys seem like just like
they're
LA Dojo guys.
They're New Japan Strong guys. And what is it? What's his name? The 3 initials.
DKC.
I like him. He's small, but he's like a martial arts guy. I dig him. He
just lost to Hook.
But I would also take the AEW group on that one.
In one of the few not interpromotional matches, or maybe the only straight up not interpromotional match, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship. That being because New Japan has no women's division, which honestly AEW should maybe take notes.
Yeah, I'll take Thunder Rosa for this one. I don't think they're ready to switch it off of her yet, but I could be wrong because her reign hasn't been super interesting.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'll go with Rosa too, just because like I don't know. Her reign hasn't been great, but I feel like they should prime someone better than Storm. Or, like, if they were going to do Storm, they should have done a better job hyping this.
Yes.
So, I think I'll pick Rosa. And it could be a good match just because Rosa just doesn't deliver on the other end of things. Like, I think she delivers in matches fine.
Right.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus TBA. So, I'm going to pick Gargano for the surprise. So,
are you taking him to win?
And then I'll say Gargano wins.
Interesting.
I don't know. It could be Cesaro, and maybe that's, I don't know. I just feel like Gargano works a little better, and he's there. We know he's there, so
I will say
why not? I'm gonna take a gamble on that one.
I will take Sabre then.
You're take Sabre?
Yep. To use an Office reference again, Sabre.
Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre.
All right. Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino.
I'll take the AEW guys. I don't really have a reason.
There's AEW on both sides.
Oh, sorry. I'll take the second group you said.
That's what I was thinking as well. Kingston,
yes,
Yuta, insert other guy.
The BCC.
I don't even know if it's BCC because only BCC is. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. Obvious one. Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy, IWGP US title. I assume you're taking Cassidy.
No, I am taking Ospreay. I
Yeah.
don't see titles changing hands between companies at this point.
Too.
Yeah.
So inaugural AEW All Atlantic title match. Pac, Miro, Malachi Black, Clark Connors. I think there's like I think it could be anyone except Clark Connors.
Yeah.
But personally, I think it should be Malachi Black. I've seen arguments for Miro, and sure that works, but I don't know. I feel like Malachi Black works better.
I'm taking Miro.
I
think it's time for Miro to have gold again.
Yeah, I think that would make sense too, but he already did, and I think
I just don't feel like Black needs
it.
a title. I don't know if it helps his gimmick at all.
No, but I feel like it
does.
might, because I don't know, just like the House of Black haven't really done anything, and that's at least then now he's starting to do something.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't even mind if we're both wrong and Pac pulls something out. Like I think that would work too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think anyone not Clark Connors works for me, but I'm gonna take Malachi
And
Black.
Clark Connors is pretty good. I've seen a lot of him. He's a small, pretty ripped dude. Kind of like built like Danielson, but not obviously as good. But he's good.
Mm-hmm.
You might like him.
Next we have FTR versus Roppongi Vice versus United Empires, Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan in a winner-take-all tag three-way for the ROH and IWGP, say it twice, IWGP tag team titles, so that'll be both belts up for grabs. I'm taking FTR because I don't see Tony Khan wanting to put the Ring of Honor titles on United Empire.
This one's tough.
Or Roppongi Vice, because I think if, let's say, New Japan, like if they have to drop their titles here, I think FTR is more likely to take those rather than Roppongi Vice. I think, and FTR has been hot lately too, so I think it's FTR.
I'm gonna say O'Khan and Cobb.
Really?
I think we're gonna free FTR from the ROH belts and get them back after the Bucks, because they are super hot right now. They should be competing for the main titles if they can.
I think they keep those, right? And because then you make FTR hotter, then maybe they could be FTR 4 belts.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be true.
I'd like to see them have 4 belts.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
They could have them. They're so over right now.
Then after, Dax can tell Kenny Omega to suck it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Wait. Damn it, Kenny had 4 belts too.
He had 1 million belts.
Well, it was 3 titles across 4 belts. This would be 4 separate titles, so he could still tell Kenny to suck it. Next we have, speak of the Bucks, we have Bullet Club, which is Bucks, Hikuleo, ELP versus Dudes with Attitudes. Why do they have that name? I have no clue.
I will.
Sting, Darby Allin, Takagi, Takahashi.
Bullet Club. I feel like New Japan will want Bullet Club protected a bit. So
yeah, I think I'll take Bullet Club.
I'll take Bullet Club. They're more of a...
Darby could take a hit, probably.
Yeah, he could.
Maybe that furthers the feud, or pin Sting. Pin Sting.
Doubt it.
Pin him. Do it.
Pin him clean as a sheet.
Yes. Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole versus Kazuchika Okada, IWGP World Heavyweight title.
Jay White retains.
I had to pick Jay White. Yeah,
there's no way.
I saw a place
awesome.
predict like Okada takes it back. Why? I don't.
I mean, that's I think the only possibility if you want to keep that feud going.
I don't think that really makes sense, because then I don't know why White even bothered to take it from him.
And I don't know if they want their main title changing hands on a show that's not theirs either, right? Just from a business perspective,
theirs.
I guess. I wonder, they must be getting some money from the
that's the whole point of a joint pay-per-view.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that's probably my most anticipated match, I think.
Yeah, that should be awesome.
Yes.
But I think Jay White retains for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Mox Tanahashi for the interim AEW title. It's Mox. I don't see why Tanahashi is gonna.
Can't imagine a universe where Tanahashi wins it, so I'll take Mox as well.
Moxley, it's kind of a second reign for him, which I think would be coolio.
And I think they just need someone to carry that title, obviously, until Punk comes back.
Yeah, just better than keep
Mox.
it. They need stability right now, right? So I think that is Mox. And
I agree.
You can carry that into Blood and Guts. You can have some defenses, have some fun with that, and then face Punk for it.
Exactly. So I will also take Mr. Moxley.
That is it.
Should be a fun show. I mean, I know it's been a bit of a train wreck getting to the show, but
I think it'll be good when
me too.
The actual show.
So how many
itself.
matches total? Sorry, including the 3 on the buy-in.
Let me see. So there's the 3
was-
on the buy-in.
It was
and
12
there's-
on the last show, wasn't it? On whatever it was called.
There's 12 total, including the buy-in.
Nice.
So 9 made card.
That'll be a long
main
night
card
for us,
matches,
buddy,
yes.
tomorrow. But you don't have school the next day, so
No.
maybe we'll do it all in one shot unless you fall asleep on the couch. Or me. I shouldn't act like I never do that because it's kind of my move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm warning you. Males in my family nap at the drop of a hat, so you're going to inherit that from me. Because if you notice, my dad will fall asleep in mid-conversation sometimes. Like if there's a bit of a lull in the conversation, he's asleep.
That's never been my thing.
Yeah, wait, you'll grow into it.
I don't wanna.
It's the best. But anyways, do you have figuring it out for us?
Also helps if you have a late bedtime.
It does. Do you have figuring it out this week?
A little bit.
You do? All right, so let's transition to that. Our final segment, Jack's going to give us a bit of an update on the world of wrestling figures, and that is Figuring It Out with Jack.
So there's like a bit revealed, nothing interesting because basics.
Basics.
Yeah. It's just images for new basics. There's basic 132, which is Tamina, so that's interesting. She's got 2 figures.
Nobody's Mina.
Nobody meaner than Tamina. She's got a blue one, and then she's got a kind of green one that's lame. No one cares. There's a black and gold tights Bobby Lashley, which is alright. Kushida in trunks, which is okay. Retro Rey Mysterio, which is in like purple, which is okay. There's the U.S. tights or U.S. trunks Riddle. I don't remember when exactly that's from, but
I remember him wearing them. I don't know
Yeah.
when either.
I feel like it was after he won the title, not when he won the title. And there's also basic 133, which has like a blue Balor, Steve Austin with a painted 316-day shirt, and a goatee that's way too dark. Roman Reigns with a yellow gauntlet. Do not mistake it for gold, because this is a basic where everything must suck.
That's right.
So that is definitely a yellow gauntlet. Natalia in red. Thank God she only has 1 figure.
Amazing.
Because the Chase variant is Cedric Alexander. He's got the normal one, which is the black and gold Hurt Business look, and then he's got these red and yellow tights for the Chase variant, which is obviously
sweet.
better. So that's kind of neat. And then they're doing series 2 of Super 7's Major Wrestling Podcast Ultimates, because they do these ultimate figures for different ones. They do New Japan's figures. They did the first batch for the Major Pod, which is just
Right.
Myers and Cardona, and then they did Good Brothers ones. To the second group
And you were telling me what a
second
great
couple
deal they are.
of the the Major Pod ones. And so you got Brian Myers in black and gray gear. He's got 3 heads, his mask, a hood, a vest, some interchangeable hands, and a Major Pod chair. And then you got Cardona in like this green and purple gear with like, it looks kind of like a paint splatter a bit with black. He's got his internet title, like the updated one, bunch of interchangeable hands, sunglasses, 3 heads, entrance gear. $75 each.
No thanks.
Which is the American price.
Pass.
Even worse for us.
Yeah, that is much worse for us. Not great.
No.
Anything else?
No.
That is it?
Nope.
That is bringing us to the end of episode...
I assume you're getting them both, because you love them both.
I do love them both so much. Episode 101 is in the books now. So we've got Forbidden Door. I don't know if we'll run a special episode or if we'll just recap it on next week's show.
We will do one of the two.
One of those. We'll talk about it at some point. So if you just are following us or subscribing or whatever, you'll obviously be notified when that happens, and you should follow us or whatever you do on these platforms would be much appreciated. But we appreciate any time you are spending with us, listening to us talk about wrestling for a couple hours every Saturday. So we'll definitely be back for episode 102 next Saturday, if not before. So until then, take care.